A very Merry Christmas to you all who celebrate, and a wonderful winter solstice to those of you who don't. I hope all of you are staying safe, keeping warm, and full of love on such a stupendous day of gathering and community. My name is Everett J. Blackwell, and I wanted to give you a personal message of gratitude and support during what is one of the most stressful times of the year. I can only hope that this transmission you're hearing will help you with those long journeys, long nights, and potentially stressful days. Gift giving aside, a lot of people have complications during the holiday period. We want to alleviate some of that stress. Now, my janitor is going to take over from here, and you'll hear me at the end of this compilation. Hi gang, this is the Janitor Supremo, Purple Crayon Eater, and creator of the Sturgeon universe, TJ Lee. I wanted to make sure that I gave you all a nice message because I know for some people, this is a really tough time of year. A lot of driving around, a lot of stressful engagements, and for some people very lonely. And I wanted to make sure that you guys had something to bring you comfort. I hope you enjoy this little selection of stories from this year that are non-chapter based in the series. I've got this and the one on New Year's Eve, which will be volume 4, which is again another 3-4 hours. And then we've got New Year's Day to bring in 2026. We're going to look at Dusklight Through the Seasons. That is one hand-picked video from every year. Because we didn't do anything in 2022 for obvious reasons, there will be 2 videos from 2023 that you can vote on. And then we will put them all together. Now, if they are videos that you guys choose that are not monetizable because of the music at the time, I might have to do a little bit of tinkering, but otherwise I want to keep the spirit of the old style alive so we can see that growth in real time. I really hope you've been enjoying this 30 in 30 challenge. I hope you don't mind the compilations. I really need the break, and I'm really excited to continue and show you guys what we're doing when we switch to the new format at the end of January. But this first week and a half has been incredible. Thank you to all of our community that have been so welcoming to new people, and I hope that if you are new here, this is a great way to get into my Sturgeon universe of weird and wacky tales, some that are very emotional and personal, some that are a little bit strange. Wherever you are in the world, whether you celebrate Christmas or whether you simply see this as another day, either way, thank you for giving up your time to listen to this, and I hope in return this brings you some degree of comfort and a break from the stress. That's enough waffling from me. Thank you so much for choosing Dusklight Radio today. Have a great Christmas, and I'll see you tomorrow. A little preface. I was advised by my therapist to share this. That being open and vulnerable about the events that took place would help me move past it and potentially provide some closure. Thank you for listening. From Warren Beaufort to Eliza Ponchely. Subject: Hey there, Eliza, what's it like in your new city? I know, sorry. It's cheesy, but I couldn't resist. You gotta admit that the half rhyme is catchy, right? I couldn't get that song out of my head when I sat down to email you. Seems so weird to not just call, right? But I get it. You've got a lot going on, and I don't begrudge you for leaving your best buddy hanging for a little while. New move and all that. Oh, I loved the gift package you sent me. The Godzilla t-shirt fits perfectly, and I love the art piece you commissioned. Not sure if it's meant to be a like-for-like shot of me, but the eyes are delightfully realistic. I'll hang it on my wall and put it by the dream catcher you made for me. Don't worry, I'm making notes of any dreams just like you asked. Not sure how it factors into your inspiration at art school, but hey, if I get a percentage of the fee, I'm not complaining. So, back to the subject line. What's it like in your new city? I'm gonna make this earworm fit in your brain if it's the last thing I do. Call it my finder's fee. With love and junk. Warren. From Warren Beaufort to Eliza Ponchely. Subject: Hey there, Eliza, do you like a dream that's gritty? As promised, I'm going to continue getting this damn song into your head from my own, like a weird Pokemon transfer. You remember those? With the link cables from Game Boy to Game Boy? God, we're getting old, Eliza. Soon we'll be 30, and then we'll be dead. It flies by so goddamn fast. It feels like yesterday we were at Pravat's house party where Sarah Bunkerton and Macy Edwards got caught fooling around in Pravat's mom's bedroom, and you distracted everyone with a chug so intense that you projectile barfed over his kitchen counter. I swear, you are the definition of cutting off your nose to spite your face. But that's why we love you. Grown man can't barf as hard as you. I swear it's true. Hey, so I wanted to ask you about your last email. You said to not worry about the painting, and you know I'm the type of person where if you tell me not to do something, I do it. Remember the air horn incident in 6th grade? Well, this is similar. Since you said that, I've noticed the painting watching me. I know it's an optical illusion and shit, but because it's me, and it has my eyes, it's unsettling to see it bearing down on me, scanning me as I maneuver around my apartment. It gives me the goddamn shivers. I moved it to my bathroom. I'd rather it watch me piss than sleep. Oh, and I've attached my dream log for the week. As you asked, it wasn't anything amazing. One dream involved me devouring every fluffy cloud I could find before smushing them between two planes like fucked up s'mores. And the other one, well, that one just had me in my old backyard, playing with you as a kid. But someone was watching us. I don't recall anything about them other than their whistle, a soft, lilting tune on the breeze, and a guitar in their hands as that damn song ran out. Slower, off-key, and more insidious. One of those moments where you forget the original intent of a song when scrutinizing it. I remember how he got to the chorus and started walking out of the darkness towards a single light fixture. Oh, what you do to me. Oh, what you do to me. Slow, methodical, unsettling. It makes my teeth hurt even now. But as soon as his skin touched the light, I woke up. Fucking weird, right? I don't know if it's your dream catcher, the painting and its bulbous eyes, or the fact I've begun mixing Cheeto dust with my weed. Probably the latter. With love, Cheeto dust, and junk, Warren. From Warren Beaufort to Eliza Ponchely. Subject: Hey there, Eliza, could you spare me a little pity? Eliza, sorry I didn't get a chance to reply for a week. It's been busy over here. The bathroom flooded and I damn near smashed my head on the faucet when trying to take a damn shower. Lucky I have ungodly balance, right? But I did fall awkwardly and break my ankle. Fucking excruciating pain. As I dragged myself out of the bathroom and towards my phone, I swear that painting stared down at me, mocking me. But I'm willing to chalk that one up to extreme pain and a desire to blame someone other than myself, which, I know, is the story of my life. Anyway, your last couple of emails caught me off guard. I'm glad you've gotten inspired enough to do another painting, though. I'm excited to get it. But what did you mean about my dreams linking to the real world? I heard they can be reflections of our daily concerns, but not that the things we dream can impact our world. You said you wanted to know more about that bad dream I had, and, as luck would have it, I had it again. I've attached a full log, but I know you're excited, so I'll just summarize the main details here. I was sitting atop a big slide in our local park. We must have been maybe 10 or 11 years old. You were at the bottom and urging me to go down. It was dark. The sun was already hiding away behind the black clouds. Maybe it knew something I didn't. I put my hands on either side of the tube, the steel freezing cold to the touch before launching myself down through the slide. It was fast. Even in that imperceptible darkness, I knew it was fast. I felt sick as my body was whipped from side to side and tumbled overhead before crashing out the other side. But when I looked up, I wasn't in the park, and we weren't 10. I was outside my dorm campus area, in my pajamas and covered in scrapes and bruises. Something looked down at me and smiled before darting for the tree line as a light flashed on my face and I felt myself waking up. I'd been found by a security guard who'd seen me laying by the road outside our dorms. We chalked it up to sleepwalking. I still believe that, even if the shaking in my hands and the mounting anxiety of impending sleep tells me otherwise. But, Eliza, you didn't tell anyone where I was staying, did you? Call me when you have time. It's nice to chat like this, but hearing your voice or seeing your face, it'd be comforting. I'm not sure I'm gonna sleep so well until I do. With love and sleep deprivation, Warren. From Warren Beaufort to Eliza Ponchely. Subject: Hey there, Eliza, I've been feeling kinda shitty. Hey, I know it's only been a day and a half since my last email to you, but I'm struggling over here. I neglected to tell you about something, and it's been eating away at me ever since, especially since you've not replied. You know how I talked about earworms before? That I was determined to get it into your head as revenge? Well, that's only because of what happened in a dream a while ago. I was paralyzed. One of those horrific old hag dreams I used to get. You know the ones. It's pitch black and all I can move are my eyes. Muscles don't respond and I may as well be limbless. A shadow moves in the room, eyes glinting and an ugly smile flashing in the small slither of light from the street lamp by my bedroom window. A decrepit, desiccated hag hobbles over to me and chokes the life out of me, watching with glee as the very air is sucked from my lungs, both by her gnarled fingers around my windpipe and the very energy she exudes from her body, as if the malice within her takes what little energy I have left. It's slow, painful. My lungs burn and my eyes feel as if they're bulging. I feel like death is patiently waiting to take me away every time. I don't even register the words leaving her mouth as I lapse into unconsciousness. An incantation, perhaps? I don't fucking know. Well, when I passed out for the third time, I came round still paralyzed but with no hag. Instead, appearing in my doorway was you, face shrouded thanks to the light from the dorm halls bathing your back, but I knew it was you from the hair and gaudy outfit. Only you would have the balls to dress like that, and I do love you for it. You didn't move towards me. You didn't move at all. You just sang that song. Oh, it's what you do to me. Oh, it's what you do to me. I can hear it even as I type this out, but it was wrong. Slowed down, distorted like a tape player had been worn down over time and the batteries were running dry. Your mouth opened, but the lips didn't move. It was fucking unnerving, and if I could have pissed myself, I would have. I don't know when you moved to loom over me, but you did. Your body bent at an unnatural angle and your face was inches from my own. And you just kept singing it at me. Then you pointed to the dreamcatcher, gaze seemingly still fixed on me, and did not stop singing. Your mouth lay open, jaw locked in place like you had a speaker lodged in your throat and put on repeat. Features still blurred in the darkness. Something crawled out of your mouth and trailed onto my cheek as it crawled into my ear, slowly and with intent. For a brief moment, I saw your neck, or what was left of it. Who did this to you? Then I woke up, the song still on repeat in my head. I tried playing it off as a harmless night terror, but since we got back in touch, it's just been replaying in my head over and over. Look, I haven't slept in 2 days and everything is beginning to feel weird. I don't want to go outside. I feel that painting is watching me, and the song, I can't get it out of my head. Call me, please. Warren. From Warren Beaufort to Eliza Ponchely. Subject: oh, this is killing me. Oh my God, this is killing me. Eliza, why won't you answer your phone? Why can't we talk? Is it the distance? Are you worried we're losing touch? 1,000 miles seems pretty far, but they've got planes and trains and cars. I'd walk to you if I had no other way. Fuck. Can't stop. Eliza, I've got so much left to say. If every email that I wrote to you would take your pain away, I'd send them all. And maybe then you'd never fall, and I could stand tall. It hurts. Why does it hurt? The painting won't stop speaking to me. It's telling me you're not here. Every time I hear it, it says the same thing. Warren, I can promise you that by the time that we get through, the world will never ever be the same, and you're to blame. It's laughing. Why is it laughing? I never wanted this to happen. Eliza, I need you. Make it stop. I can't move without my body shaking from fright. I see you standing out the window, waiting for me to sleep, and I cannot hold it off forever. I know when I do, you'll haunt me. You'll punish me for what I did. You know the hold you have over me. So I need to break it. The only way I know how. It's what you do to me. Warren. From Warren Beaufort to Eliza Ponchely. Subject: starry, starry night. Eliza, it's been a long year, hasn't it? I was found trying to hang myself in the communal area. My rafters weren't strong enough, and I planned it when the rest of my dorm was out. Fortunately, they'd seen the change in my behavior, and had come back not long after I'd kicked the chair out from under me. My lungs burned, eyes felt like they were bulging out of my skull. Deja vu, right? I wanted to send one last email saying I'm sorry. I've gotten better. I found a new song, and it is a quiet soundtrack to my life instead of an overbearing one. I started sending them in the genuine hopes you'd forgive me. I wasn't there the night things got too much for you, when you tried to find your inspiration in another life, and kicked the chair out from under you, taking your life as lovers often do. I was busy. I brushed you off and thought it a manic episode from a talented but depressive best friend and genius artist that I simply could not justify traveling 2,000 miles to get home for. I was wrong. I wasn't there, and when I got the news you'd attempted, I shut down for weeks out of shame and guilt. I was glad you'd made it, but I was so broken that I'd let my own weaknesses and selfishness supersede my duties as a best friend. That pain consumed me, and the song found its way to me, crawling in my ear with its mocking tones until I couldn't hear myself think, invading my dreams and tormenting me until my sanity crumbled. It took months of hard work, therapy, and self-love to get to a point where I could even get to sitting here without breaking down into pieces, let alone drafting this to you. My therapist has been amazing, as have my friends. They're all with me now, helping me finish this slowly but surely. To you, it's no time at all to see this in one sitting, but to me, it's been 5 weeks of painstakingly choosing my words and agonizing over their impact. I think the song, the painting, and the dream catcher were all amazing ways of connecting to you, but I could sense their corruption early on. Something was off about them as much as the emails were, like how one-sided our exchanges seemed. It took me months to accept Eliza died during her attempt, that she never woke back up again. She found her inspiration elsewhere, it seems. But of course, we reached the final part of this email. I didn't find that out until after my own attempt, when your final email urged me to join you and find my answers elsewhere, where you told me how to do it, what it would take, and that together we'd make it right. The paintings, the dream catcher, even the visits caught on campus CCTV. That's right. They saw you looking into my window on that final night. Watching. Waiting. It all leads me to these last burning questions. Who have I been talking to? And what the fuck did you do to Eliza? I've been an avid drone user for most of my adult life. I grew up enjoying aviation, immersing myself in as many flight sims and aerial footage that I could find. It sounds silly, but even something like Elite Dangerous wasn't far from my mind if I was busy. I just couldn't get enough of the sensation of being able to explore the world around me to my heart's content in a wholly interactive manner. There's something inexplicably exhilarating about being able to maneuver effortlessly in 3 dimensions, to zip and zag across perilous obstacles like I'm an acrobat with wings, to stop and marvel at the majesty of creation mid-air and drink it all in. Which, I suppose, is why what transpired haunts me so. Why I'm hoping that by sharing this here, someone out there will have experienced what I experienced. I think that's the most terrifying thing of all. The notion that no other experienced drone user has stumbled across what I have. Seen the people I see. The rising smoke when they... No. Remember the feather. Picture the feather. Ignore the knocking. Okay. Some background context before we begin. I live in a rural part of the English countryside, moving here a few years back. It's a beautiful part of Buckinghamshire that I have no doubt most of the world knows of only in its connection to the throne. But make no mistake, it is an ancient land, and it bears ancient secrets. Stories have been told for over 1,000 years of strange ongoings, beasts lurking in the woods that venture too close to settlements and climb over houses, leaving devil's footprints in their wake. Those who venture into the forests to forage, only to vanish without a trace of them or their weapons. Strange green-skinned children emerging from pits designed to catch wolves, telling of a secret city underground where everything is in perpetual twilight. Buckinghamshire is old. Impossibly so. Perhaps that's what drew me to want to explore it in my own way. Being agoraphobic and suffering with chronic pain every day, the prospect of being out amongst other people and in a flare-up so bad that I'd need to ask someone else for help was less than ideal. Being disabled in a world that very rarely caters to you, it's challenging. But through video games, YouTube, a fantastic support network of friends, and the insatiable interest of exploration pushing me forward, I was able to find comfort in multiple outlets that just barely scratched the itch. And then drones came into my life. I still remember the first time I unboxed it, a DJI Inspire 2, and connected up the camera, my fingers tingling with anticipation as I sent it to look over the sleepy town I inhabit. I swear I could have burst into tears as the world around me opened up. I saw things in a way I'd never been able to otherwise. Not just in the sense of being outdoors, but the living, breathing parts of the town nobody else would notice. The tops of our church's steeple, the cracked and decaying statues adorning either side like worn-down gargoyles waiting to pounce on unsuspecting passers-by and gawkers and tourists. The otters gently resting by the embankment as the farmer watches closely. Stress lines riddling his worn face like a roadmap of labor and guilt. I would relay my findings and enthusiasm to my co-pilot, a best friend I'd met through the drone community who lived in the next town over. They were nothing but supportive when hearing about my unusual fears. I'd come to expect scorn, ridicule, and a plethora of invasive questions that didn't remotely pertain to my interest. But Avery was different. They just wanted to talk shop and truly know me. Not like the rest. What about getting a job? No, I've got a good one already, thanks. What about getting a husband? I'm not interested. What about a wife? Also, not interested. You get the picture? Well, either way, people didn't understand. It made secluding myself easier. The monotonous routine gave way to more shut doors, both metaphorical and literal. All but my drone buddies and Avery were let in.
What'd you find, Skyrider?
They chimed, eager to hear my exploits and genuinely share in my excitement. I told them everything, unable to contain my glee. After I calmed down and ran through the next set of trip destinations, asking for suggestions, they grew silent and hesitant.
Well, there is one place I know of that has been talked about for ages.
Their voice adopted a slight aloofness, and I knew what they were getting at.
But you're pretty new, so I don't know if you're ready for it. One must have a true adventurer spirit to embark on such a place.
My fingers curled around the armchair as I bit my lip, remembering the books I'd pored over with voracious interest, learning about the numerous conspiracy theories related to the Earth, one in particular striking me, lingering in the back of my mind long after my eyes had stopped looking at it. The world under the world, enshrouded in twilight. History has documented so many anomalies and irregularities within that it's nearly impossible to discern one from the other. But the one I mentioned earlier about the children emerging from a wolf's pit, green-skinned and claiming to be from a strange world bathed in perpetual twilight, yeah, that one never escaped me. You're talking about Sturgeon and Petrichor, the shrouded cities. But how did you know? I stuttered, the excitement overtaking me. They chuckled, a warm reverberation that filled me with glee.
I pay attention, Bailey. I'll be your co-pilot and lead you there, okay? Just follow my lead.
With that, I flew the drone out to the coordinates they'd specified. A small field on the outskirts of an old town called Turvey. A derelict farmhouse in the midst of a field laden with rapeseed and the river Ouse on the other side. Nature slowly but surely reclaiming the land while a vein of concrete cut between the two landscapes, surging vessels of metal and smog to and fro. "Where do we go from here, Aves?" I chimed, feeling as if my own body had wings, floating around in the midsummer air. Their bronze behemoth gently swayed in front of me as Avery considered their notes and made general noises of contemplation.
All right. Looks like we need to veer left until we're parallel with the farmhouse. Go straight across it and over to the next field. There should be an abandoned set of tunnels. Kind of like a warren that'll come into view when we get closer.
Nodding, I followed suit and let the sounds of rushing air fill my ears, the soft buzz of the drone putting me at ease as we flew through the air, zipping past insects and darting through the crops until we came over the next field, the series of holes dotted around the large hills. Avery was right. They looked like warrens, but almost mechanical in nature. It took me a minute to spy the faint plumes of smoke coming out of them. It was a thick black, tinged with a red. Or maybe that was the glow emanating from the pit that gave it an impression of red. It was hard to tell at this distance.
All right, Skyrider. Documents say we need to go down the hole with the thickest smoke. So, once you lock in your trajectory, don't adjust it if you can't see ahead of you. The tunnel should be a pretty straightforward dip down until we come into a clearing. Oh, and...
Avery turned their drone towards me, as if facing in person. I couldn't see them, but there was a graveness to their tone that hadn't been there before.
No matter what you hear, don't respond.
I blinked, stifling back a chuckle. Avery, the only reason you can hear me is Discord. Why would some disembodied voice or animal noises hear me? There was a long pause. Avery seemed to be considering something.
Forget it. Just be careful, okay, Bailey?
Something in the way they said my name made me tense up. I agreed and they began their descent, quickly zipping past me with an effortless twirl and sounds of their motor echoing through the tunnel as they rapidly went out of sight. I took a deep breath and followed, pushing the drone forward and a quick, fanciful loop as some sort of arbitrary good luck ritual before locking my controls and diving headfirst into the tunnel. I don't know how to articulate it fully. Words seem to fail to properly encapsulate what I experienced, but it was an assault on the senses. As the sounds bounced off of the tunnel, my dark vision was occasionally punctuated with bright luminous spots of light, some familiar and some decidedly not. It wasn't like they were the most beautiful colors or the most horrifying, but simply beyond description. These flashes would dance around the lens, washing over it or covering it like a net before passing by and the darkness returning, giving off the effect of a plunging roller coaster. Every motion made my stomach churn, or the hairs on my skin stand up on end. It inexplicably felt like I was truly there, experiencing it with the drone.
All that's seen and unseen will be revealed in the dusk light.
Instinct took over, and I whipped my head around in my room, unsure if the voice came from here or the cave. It was almost melodic in its tone, authoritative yet welcoming. "Hey, Avery, you hear that?" I called, still sending my drone down the cavern. No response. The whirring of the drone intermixing with a heavy pulse from somewhere deep below. Something was stirring. A few more tense moments pass, the pulse below creating a horrific ambience as the soft sounds of dirt being kicked around in quick succession grew nearer and nearer. It took a few moments of straining my ears, blocking out the motor and the pulse to pinpoint where it was coming from. In the instant I clocked on, I felt the same kind of primal fear one experiences when traveling down an underpass alone, or camping out in the woods, or, in my case, an unexpected knock at the door late at night. It is the unmistakable feeling of being followed. I felt my joints push on the controls ever so slightly, determined to find a way to spin around and see what was gaining on me, despite how utterly stupid it would be. But I remembered Avery's words and kept my focus forward. Within a few minutes, the smoke gave way and I exited into a clearing. Atop a series of hills overlooking a small but densely packed city, spires grew into the sky like weeds, wrapped in thick chains and with bizarre summits. One possessing a great cube, each layer shuddering and undulating as it twisted. Another practically pulsating, a bright turquoise light emanating from its base and running up the length, polyps growing around its concrete flesh like an infection. Atop it sat a great mushroom, swaying gently in the wind. It was still too far to make out any details from the town, but the Georgian-style buildings intermingled with the occasional modern entertainment structure were jarring to say the least. As I descended slightly, looking for Avery, I spied a sign hung above a large marble arch, twinkling with beautiful gemstones. Welcome to Petrichor, the dusklight city, bordered by Sturgeon, the shrouded city. I took in a deep breath, held it in my lungs, and embraced the moment. I traveled somewhere new. Even if it was through the drone, I'd gone beyond my comfort zone. I felt free. That momentary feeling of freedom shattered when Avery's panicked voice broke through the silence, shocking me enough into gasping and following their instructions.
Bailey? I don't know if you can hear me, but look! Up!
Slowly, I directed the drone upward, and the shock was so intense I had to grip the controls to stop them falling from my hands. Hanging in the sky, shimmering with a glow that sent shivers down my spine, was a black sun. It radiated heat and, inexplicably, malice from every tendril as small black spores danced and dove towards the town. Flaking off of its obsidian surface and illuminated by the radiant white phosphorescent glow behind it. It was as if the devil himself was standing in front of God, blinding him from what went on down below. It felt wrong to look at for too long.
That's a dusklight eclipse. Legends say that under the sickly glow, people grow strange. Take a look at the building, Skyrider.
I whipped around and searched for Avery's drone, unable to spot it in the red hue. Where the hell are you, Aves? I can't see you. It's a bloody miracle I can even get a signal with the drone this far down.
Don't worry about it. I'm just over the next hill checking something odd out. Go check the buildings and I'll meet you there, okay?
Alright, just honk if you need me, I guess. With that, I flew down and towards the closest pack of buildings, tower blocks and terraced houses with marble arches. The same large chains wrapped around the corners and hips of the buildings, as if determined to keep them from leaving. As I approached the top floor, I noticed the entire building's windows were either dark, shuttered, or with blackout blinds, illuminating the shadows of their occupants within, seemingly at odds with the turmoil outside. The couple on the top left corner were having an animated conversation. I couldn't tell you what they were talking about, but there was gesturing, finger-pointing, and grandiose sweeping motions. A lover's tiff, maybe. After a couple of minutes, they shook their heads and began dancing, hand in hand, as they gently stepped around their room, moving out of sight and towards the bedroom. But when they passed from window 1 to window 2, there was only one dancer, still holding the disembodied hand of their partner and nothing else. They continued to move, more animated and passionate as they held the hand up for a twirl that would never come. A weird prank, I thought. They must have spied the drone and decided to have a little fun at my expense. Time for me to move on. Descending to the next floor, each of these windows housed just one occupant. First was a man with the shutters slightly open, watching a TV show that housed nothing but static and a faint visage of a smiling face beneath. When he caught sight of me, I swear I saw the static reflected in his eyes before I swiftly moved on. The next row had been hidden behind blackout blinds, held in a strange yoga pose that contorted the limbs, bones pushed into impossible positions, and muscles straining to hold it all together. I shudder to think how close they were to snapping tendons and dislocated joints. A lone person sat huddled in the furthest corner of the middle window, shuddering uncontrollably as their head fixated on a spot in the corner. I watched them for a couple of minutes, utterly perplexed at what they were so scared of. But as I oriented the drone to move on, I saw why. On the other side of the room, in the exact opposite corner, was another, shuddering, undulated shadow person, pointing back. The last window lay untouched and unobscured. Despite concerns over Avery's absence mounting, my need to explore and discover in this newfound freedom and strange place, it gave me a full sense of security. Like nothing could hurt me if I was just a silent observer. But as I gazed through the bay window, the top section of which was wide open as this viscous black smog funneled in and wrapped itself around the poor soul on the floor, I realized I was more than just a silent observer. I was here to bear witness to something that nobody should ever see. They were inert and unmoving when I first hovered into view, the smoke only just beginning its crawl towards them. I don't know if they were sleeping and forgot about the window, if they had accepted whatever this would do to them, or had an unfortunate accident. But that clearly didn't matter in the here and now. The smoke pooled underneath their body and began converging at the base of the skull, worming its way through their ears and mouth until they began to react. Eyes snapped open, and the back arched in such a quick and violent manner that I swear I heard something crack under the pressure. Toes curled, and a low, ugly groan left their lungs as gnarled fingers tried to move towards the source of their discomfort. Their eyes. The eyelids sagged and flopped down on their cheeks, growing longer and beginning to house large, throbbing veins. I grimaced, but I couldn't look away. Their eyelids rolled forward like billiard balls, heading for the pocket. An ugly squelch as they hit their mark. I gagged, audible and loud enough for this person to notice. In one swift motion, they cocked their head back, and the eyes flopped around their scalp like a malformed snail. But before they could make their way to me, I quickly floated away and took a moment to breathe. What the fuck was this place?
Fuck!
I jumped in my seat. Avery's shout enough to pull me out of the sickness, and the instinct to help kicked in. Aves, are you okay?
I crashed, Bailey. I'm over by a big drone on the tallest hill. Kinda looks like the warren we entered, but way bigger. And Oh.
A pause. The sound of footsteps and a strange low chanting.
Oh, fuck. Bailey, someone's in here. I need you to call the police. My address is 16 Marigold Avenue. No!
Silence. Avery? Avery, talk to me. Are you okay? Why does your drone being down mean your Discord's not working? No words. Just muffled voices and the sounds of dull thuds. Someone was arguing with Avery away from their headset. I sat there for what felt like minutes, trying to figure out how I could get their attention. My focus waning just a fraction before being jerked back with one ear-splitting scream. Avery's scream, echoing into the hallway until there was nothing left. Some footsteps came close to the mic before the call was disconnected. Panic mounted, and I directed the drone up and away, surveying for the hill. I know that Avery is safe in their home, but something inside me screamed danger. The kind of primal feeling of concern that rushes through you when an animal spots you in the wild. After a couple of moments of frantic searching, I saw it. A large white building encased in a dome with a small hole at the top and faint smoke rushing out of it. Not dissimilar to the one running through the whole town. As the drone hovered over, I took note of the sheer volume of houses locked up, Dozens of hooded figures rushing through the streets and the back alleys, undeterred by the smoke. Strange, but not important right now. The closer I got to the dome, the more uncomfortable I felt. 3 figures stood around the wreckage, the tall one barking orders to the 2 smaller ones, bending over to dig into the drone. Avery's drone was a sight to behold. A custom-built behemoth that they'd put stickers all over. Memes and pop culture references with a proud non-binary flag on the front. It had been smashed to bits like it had been shot or battered with great force. The engines barely running and billowing smoke as a small fire danced at the back. Slick hands reached into the guts of the drone and after some degree of rummaging around, found what they were looking for. A GPS chip, still blinking. I recognized it from Avery's modding videos. It had an inscription on the side. I don't know how they didn't see me with how close I was, but they only spoke 2 words that I could hear. Emissary. Sacrifice. Without another word, they leapt into a nearby hole with the chip, like a trapdoor spider taking its prey. I panicked as I took the drone higher. What was I to do? Tell the police we traversed underground and strange mole people had taken one of us? No. The most I could do now was try to inspect what was going on and see if this was, I don't know, an elaborate prank, or maybe there was some way to help save them. Stupid, I know. But ultimately I was unwilling to leave them alone. Not to my only friend. I decided the best course of action was to go back to town, to follow the smoke trails and see where they lead. Sure enough, the thicker the smog, the more of these hooded strangers were congregating. I passed over back alleys and winding mazes before coming across a long stretch of marble road that ended with the Grand Hall building, upon the summit of which a sundial altar had been built, straps and all. The tall one I spied earlier stood by its side, shouting to the people. I wasn't able to hear it from my height, so I descended slowly and carefully to hear, forever thankful that these people were fixated on him, not me. His powerful, smooth voice with an almost lilting cadence to it echoed through the crowd and set my teeth on edge.
Duskwalkers, the day has arrived and we are ready. The heretics are locked away in their hovels, content to live in this hellscape when the dusklight eclipse parts and the horrors of the Weaver's machinations descend. But we will not suffer that fate. We have been patient, we have listened and followed the signs, followed the smoke. Soon we will leave this place and spread our message anew, like the formless smoke surrounding our beautiful Petrichor. We will burrow into the lungs of everyone we meet.
He paused as the crowd shrieked, soaking in their adoration like a true narcissist. How many were there? 500? 1,000? Some even had their children with them, babies cradled in fanatical arms as disembodied voices threatened to tear their vocal cords in support of chanting.
We awaited a true sign that it was time, and we found it in the form of the Weaver's emissary. They came on a ship of steel and air, but we caught them and understood their purpose without words exchanged. An offering for the sacrifice, a way to show our dedication as we depart.
He paused, arms held in the air as he looked at an adjacent alleyway from which a figure was brought out, dressed in a strange red and black garment with ceremonial painting across their forehead, cheeks, and chin. A burlap sack with a red engraving over the front. The prophet licked his lips, a blackened tongue with a white sheet caking the top, chunks of it missing as it retracted behind chalk white teeth.
Let us begin. There is no time to waste.
They pulled off the burlap sack, and my heart dropped into my stomach. Oh my god. Avery. They took them from their fucking room. Avery thrashed with everything they had. members of this congregation touching their face and neck with gentle adoration, beyond elated that they were here. As they reached the summit, the prophet put that disfigured, veined hand on their forehead, and they grew limp and silent. I stifled back a cry, biting my lip to the point of blood being drawn, desperate to help but unable to act in any way. I just wanted to explore with a friend. How did this happen? The chanting grows in ferocity and volume. Every member's eyes locked on the limp frame of Avery as they're fastened to the sundial. The prophet reaching for a strange contraption and holding it above their head. Avery! I shouted, without even thinking, without consideration of where I was and the danger I was in. If they could get Avery... The chanting immediately stopped. Absolute silence fell over the crowd, and the only noise I could hear was my own furtive breathing. The prophet turned their head and stared directly at me as every member of his congregation did so in kind. Around the city, the lights began to go out one by one until the only light source was the crimson glow of the dusk-clad eclipse, bathing its members in a violent hue.
Our Lord, they have arrived. We have prepared for this day in mind and soul.
They lowered their hood as the others did in kind.
And body.
I screamed, a guttural shriek of terror unlike anything I have ever experienced. Their heads were smooth, porcelain domes with the humanoid features so small that I could barely make them out. The rest of their forms degraded to such a degree and twisting in ways that words can't adequately convey their morbidity. I don't know how long I stood there shrieking, but the prophet did not take offense. Instead, he moved to a carving filled with his prophecies that had been set for the ceremony. It was old, rudimentary, and among the many strange occurrences he said would happen, a vessel stood, primitive in description, but unmistakably my drone.
And on the final day, we will be visited and observed for our readiness to ascend. They will bear witness and judge us worthy.
With that, the prophet instructed an underling to hit a nearby bell as the eclipse shifts and the black embers falling begin to glow. The cloaked members pulled something from their pockets, and each one holds it up to the sky. An incense candle. Within a minute, there is a sea of black flame candles glowing across this congregation, the prophet the last one to light theirs. He stepped towards the center and observed his flock, the smoke collecting around them in large swaths. Without another word, he looked at me, smiled, and threw the incense candle to the ground, setting off a burst of flames that started at the feet and rapidly worked its way up the body, consuming the host entirely, cascading their form into a shadowy veneer. The blaze quickly obscured the drone's lens and rocketed it out of view as I kept on screaming Avery's name. The last thing I saw before it went black is their eyes rolling into the back of their head before the flames swallowed them up. The inertia from being thrown around hit me hard as the blinding sun fixates on the damaged lens and the drone unceremoniously lands in the field. The sun is setting and I can make out the familiar, dilapidated barn bathed in a shade of orange and lavender, my hands still shaking as I try to formulate a plan. I immediately call their Discord, but it's offline. I call their phone, but it's disconnected, and when I try to reach their mother, a cheery, distant voice tells me that they never had children, let alone someone called Avery. They wish me well, and they hang up. This is not possible. I'm sitting here, 2 hours later, distraught and unable to figure out where to go next. I'm hoping you can help, Everett. You see, if the legends are true, the green children of Woolpit were never able to make it back to St. Martin's Land, the city bathed in constant twilight. The people can leave, but never return. There are clearly many things lurking underneath our feet that we never see, never interact with, just waiting for the chance to come up for air. I know this, because I've been thinking about the last thing that happened before the drone shut off and sent me into a frenzy trying to contact Avery and their family before being told, at every turn, there was no Avery. Someone walked towards my drone in the field while I was trying to call Avery. I only know because I heard their footsteps through the still live audio feed and snapped my headset back on. I never saw their face, but I did see their eye, yellow, bulbous, and pressed up to the lens.
Do you see what I see?
Immediately unnerved, I tore the goggles off and pushed them away, which leads me to now. Sat in the dark, unsure what to do, writing in to you at dusklight for advice. Someone's been knocking at my door ever since, Everett. I can't see outside, but there's an ugly red glow coming through my curtains. And that familiar voice keeps asking me the same question. And I don't want to see what they see. Being scared is a truly humbling thing, isn't it? It's that rush of adrenaline that surges through your body, ignites your bones, and sends electrical signals through the power lines of your brain, begging you to jolt, to run, to shriek. It reminds you that you are alive. We lose that magic of fear as we get older. Mundanity takes its place, and the majority of us become scared less so of the monsters in the dark, aliens in the sky, or creatures in the woods, and we instead fixate on the fear of bankruptcy, of bad people doing us harm, of failure. Perhaps that's appropriate. We must grow with the times, and while I have no doubt plenty of you hearing this are already flexing your fingers to tell me in the comments, you can quite easily be just as scared of taxis as you can be the local mascot who you're 99.9% sure is dead inside the suit. But you'd be missing the point. Let me ask you something. Did you look up at the stars lately? I mean, really look up at them. The immense Stygian void filled with a basin of bright orbs that twinkle, sparkle, and burn. It's easy to shrug them off as just giant balls of gas with immeasurable power and magnitude, their dying light still bursting through the black canvas of our night sky, despite their physical form long since dissipating. A legacy left across time and space that we could never hope to achieve. There's another mundane fear for you. Existentialism. I'll take trolls, thanks. I looked up at the sky on December 19th, 2020. A cold, bitter night where I searched for something to bring me peace when my body would not. Sharp daggers stabbing at my insides, pushing into my organs and making the bile rise up in my throat. Boiling and viscous, pushing past my teeth and spat out onto the ground with a grimace. Vile. Painful. I remember looking up to find comfort, to find substance, to find a humbling sense of my place in this vast universe. Instead, I saw eyes beaming down at me. Innumerable, immeasurable, inconceivable. Some bulging amid the darkness, their size growing with every moment my neck craned upwards. I see a pair in the corner filled with tears, their pupils dilated and flashing, miniature black holes rotating as the event horizon that is their iris flaring as they take in what they see. Eyes upon eyes upon eyes. So many swirling orbs of magnificent, horrifying, and forbidden colors. A litany of differing expressions and sizes that threatened to envelop me if I made a wrong move. All of them fixated on me. I felt my stomach contract and goosebumps rise on my skin, the feeling of my heart smashing its way from my chest and into my throat. a tingling sensation in my right hand as my fingers involuntarily moved, the eyes snapping to look at it as if it were a marvel. Or perhaps a threat. I ran for my home, stayed under the covers, and pushed my hands into my closed eyes to manifest a slew of safe colors. Something. Anything to wash out the forbidden ones creeping through my curtains. I knew if I gazed upon them again, I would go mad. The eyes began following me everywhere. I couldn't tell you how often I noticed them. Sometimes I would be able to go about my day without it being an issue, only for the sickly light to seep through the window and taunt me into coming outside. Other days I would be unable to do anything in its overwhelming presence, some eyes looking remorseful and full of regret, others looking hungry and ravenous, desperate to push the rest of their terrifying forms through the barrier of night to take me. It was 3 weeks and 2 days later that I started hearing the ringing. The incessant ringing in my ears. Sometimes, I feel my skin peeling at the edges as the ringing grows in sound, ferocity, and temperature. Yes, temperature. Hot, burning flashes rip through my chest. The upper right side piercing through my ribcage and pushing up at my skin, trying to get out. I hold my breath and count backwards from 17. It always seems to do the trick. I see spots in my vision and my tongue grows fat in my mouth, but the ringing goes for a time. I feel the pressure in my chest rise, fall, cease, and start over again. But eventually, it gives way to a beautiful numbness. The stars pulsate in the sky, red and burning in their gaze. I don't know what I did to offend them, but they scream overhead. I nailed my windows shut and put on a white noise machine, but they still scream, and I still hear them. Look at me. Look at us. We glow for you. Babbling from an incoherent form. I just ignore it as I form a blanket fort filled with makeshift beams made from cardboard, tubes, and ambient lighting. So long as I'm in here, with or without the pain, nothing can hurt me. I will stay here until they grow hoarse with their screaming, until the sickly light stops trying to drown out my comfort light. As long as it takes. Until the many hands stretching across the length and breadth of my room dissipate, their grip finding nothing but air, their lengthy nails no longer rending and tearing at my flesh as they try to draw blood, much to the elation of the stars outside. As long as it takes. I will crumble in this blanket fort if it keeps whatever unseen horror lurking outside away from me. As long as it takes. Among the lights grew one gaping maw. It grinned at me in the twilight last Saturday, completely unafraid of its presence and ignored by everyone else. One tooth bore the bodies of countless dead, their husks twitching and reaching out. Do you see that? I cried, in the middle of a local supermarket and pointing with a shaking digit to the sunset. The clerk cocked their head to the side and frowned. The sky? Yes, nice. Why? I felt the hot rush of embarrassment and indignation crawl up my throat like an eel, but I snapped my teeth shut and kept it barred inside. I took my groceries with an unflinching grin that mirrored the beast in the sky before pulling my hood up and promptly hurrying home. I felt its hot breath on my back and the distorted laugh of 1,000 agonizing voices having their flesh rendered until the screams morphed into uproarious and maleficent cackling, as if I would be their target for eventual vengeance. I did not dare ask it myself, or why I was cursed this way, why it sought me as its victim. But I did take a moment to look back and stare at it as I stood upon the threshold of my home, defiant and confused. If I was to greet the sickly light and the hands with a new sensation of mockery, I wanted to make sure I looked at my tormentor. As my gaze met theirs, the moment froze. All things froze. I stood before the enormity of what faced me, and nothing could impede it. The sky blackened. Every surrounding star looked down on me as two magnificent black holes rippled and twisted to form the bulbous pupils which the grand eyes would swirl around. A nebulous smoke formed the hood, and the smile peeled back into a ripple that stretched across the skyline. "Come from us," it bellowed, a guttural howl that rattled my bones as it spoke, but didn't. I could do nothing but stare at it. The feeling of sheer, overwhelming power was impossible to fight against. I was nothing. Absolutely nothing. I felt the invisible hands pull at my ankles, blindingly making their way up my legs and finding the spot in my upper right cavity with which to dig their tendrils into, stabbing deep into my chest. A hot, burning sensation filling my lungs as black bile seeped out from my teeth. "Return to us," it once again boomed, rattling the skies and every pair of eyes shifting away from it as the nebulous cloak wrapped around it began glowing. First, a beautiful magenta with flecks of gold and amber, then pulsating a deep iridescent blue as it finished its second statement. My hearing felt stuffy, and I felt my eyes water, not from crying, but from something. "All things must end. All things must feed." My breathing. Why wasn't I breathing? I was no longer blinking either. How long had I been bearing witness to this titan? What is this? I counted back from 17. Watching the spots in my vision grow and hoping the creature in the sky would fade as the sun began to set. 10 seconds to go. The stars twinkled and pulsated. Were they always this close? 5 seconds to go. The spots in my vision grow like burn marks on a picture, but still the figure remains and my fear grows. As I reached the end, I collapsed to the floor in a heap, sobbing and gritting my teeth from the agony ripping through my body. I don't dare look up again, not even as my neighbor comes to help. I don't recall what happened next, only that a local doctor visited, sighed, and prescribed some medication. I didn't take them. That night, for the first time, there were no stars in the sky. No sickly lights. No hands. I didn't realize that until now. I took an hour to collect myself before recording any further. To you, it will feel like no time at all. That's the beauty of this exchange, I suppose. Time doesn't factor in. But in my world, I gave great pause to what had occurred, from the safety of my blanket fort and my stomach in so many knots that an Eagle Scout would give me a badge. What is going on with me? Is any of this even making sense? Is anyone even hearing this? Am I just screaming into a void? The sky outside is shrouded in perpetual darkness now. I've checked. It's not a mirage or an illusion, it just is. Nobody else seems to notice but me. The lights grow in number every day, and even with all the waking hours I possess, I can no longer count them. Maybe that's for the best. We were always meant to have limitations. I hear the beeping constantly now. No amount of breath holding assuages it. No gentle mantras or holding my emotional support stuffed animal staves off the many stabbing hands. No amount of safe colors in my head blocks out the forbidden light anymore. I don't know how much longer I'll last. It took 2 weeks to find the energy and mental fortitude to finish imparting this to you. It is incoherent, and I'm sure it will not be the way it could have been with a clearer mind. That's okay. It's not for everyone. I accept that and welcome that if it comes to pass. But it is for you. You who stumbled across this, wondering whether the account is as it says it is. You who have a season pass to Sturgeon and cannot wait to visit once more. You who suffer as I suffer. We all walk this road eventually. It's just a matter of when we arrive there. 29 years old and staring down the long road of eternity. Who'd have thought I'd end up here so soon and in such a sorry state? Where did the bright-eyed child sat at their mother's old typewriter, hastily typing out Dragon Ball Z fanfiction go? Where did the angst-ridden teen channeling their feelings into spoken-word poetry in the vein of Hawthorne Heights and My Chemical Romance go? The raw honesty of being 19 and stumbling, falling, and crashing into the spotlight. Where did they go? All that's left now is a shambling husk of broken bones, atrophied muscles, and fractured memories. An old, rambling soul in the body of a once vibrant person who could do so much more. So much more. I won't lie to you all. I'm scared. I have no doubt many are scratching their heads and wondering where this is going, where I'm going, and what it all means. We build safe zones in our minds to help deal with the inevitability of our end. Rainbow bridges, pearly gates, great wheels of life. I even have a buddy who believes in the skeleton war. I like him. The lights in the sky changed colors recently, you know. The eyes no longer look full of anger or malice. They seem almost welcoming. The iris of everyone is now a magnificent swirl of colors. Promises unspoken and love unabated by time and space. It was only when I truly looked that I saw what hid behind the eyes, hid behind the beeping, behind the hands. It was a glimpse, nothing more, but it was enough. And much like the constellations that connect the stars, I can no longer see anything else. It was everything and everyone that I loved. I don't mean that in a saccharine manner, I mean it literally. Every loved one formed behind those eyes, a welcoming look on their faces beckoning me to come home, wherever home may be. I saw family that I barely remembered, friends who had fallen, lovers who had taken their own road, enemies long gone and rivals standing tall. I saw everyone. Everything. The cloaked figure smiled. The colors were blinding, and the noise was deafening. And then I understood. They say this trail covers ancient land, that the things you find along here aren't for the normal-minded to see. Honestly, I just took a detour after a rough night and decided that this was a good excuse to lengthen out my drive and listen to some good music. But now I'm dictating my thoughts to my notepad like a neurotic asshole because a stream of consciousness spoken to nobody seems too weird to me. I'd rather be Dale Cooper than Jack Torrance, let me tell you that. The in-car system still lets dulcet tones from my lo-fi playlist hang in the air. The wonders of modern technology, I suppose. Not so loud that it drowns out my thoughts or interrupts the beauty of the drive, but enough to allow me to be introspective and feel like I'm going on my own trip of self-discovery. Right, the trip, of course. The first thing you see as you come off the last turning on the finely paved concrete is a series of signs that lead off into a dirt road that stretches into the darkness and dips out of sight. The first was the normal highway sign, standing at the back with a slight crook to the side. The paint flaking away at the edges, but the sign shimmering in front of my car lights. A705 North, A705 South, M Road, 300 yards west. There was a crude sign hanging in front, practically peering down at me from a clearly damaged pole in the dirt, the letters scratched and blotchy. It read, "Stretching out in front of you is a featured oddity within U.B. Dedra's Dusklight Circus. The transfixing allure of the myopic road beckons all. Simply start your journey and let the delights find you." A small post-it note had been attached to the bottom, hastily scribbled. "Remember, do not turn on your headlights. Do not expose the trail ahead. Drive slow and drive safe." It's the dead of night. This part of the country doesn't have many folks out to these back roads at the best of times, and quarantine simply exacerbated that. I took a deep breath and looked at my knuckles as they gripped the steering wheel, skin tearing away and raw flesh exposed, stinging in the wake of the biting cold. I thought of what I had driven away from, what I'm always trying to get away from. I close my eyes and see the looming red shapes, the haze of anger and the hot flush of pain. I grip the steering wheel tighter and clench my teeth as I put my foot down and turn the wheel towards the road. The Myopic Road is simply an unofficial title, of course. No planning committee would sign off on such a strange name. Not even a very subtle one, for that matter. Short-sighted because of the sheer darkness enveloping the trail from side to side, inevitably causing accidents. Our ancestors have a very ugly sense of humor. But it was fitting. The road was something of an anomaly in my hometown, and while nobody had been actively dissuaded from going down it, nobody ever needed to reinforce the fear we all felt. No, the accidents were a frequent enough reminder. If you drove down the road with respect and patience, they say it's just a good place to cleanse the mind and help you focus. Plenty have come out the other side without problems, or so they say. But there were many, far too many, who didn't listen, didn't obey the rules, didn't heed them or even see them. Be it someone intoxicated behind the wheel, those escaping the law, joyriders, or just general thrill seekers, they would all inexplicably find themselves coming down the myopic road, and they would almost always find themselves meeting with an ugly end. Sometimes, patrol cars would find the wreckage after a couple of days, scraps of their clothing, and maybe even an identifiable piece of the person. Other times, a single liver could find itself draped over the sign leading into the trail 10 years after its owner went missing. But, oftentimes, most people didn't get found at all. No vehicle, no trace. When police officers would pursue offenders towards this trail, they'd simply stop at the threshold and flash their headlights, desperately trying to convince them to come back, that any fate is better than what lay down that road. Or maybe they were hoping, wishing in vain, that the driver had seen the one rule when traversing down the myopic road: do not turn on your headlights. So, here I am. I've been driving for about 10 minutes now at a relatively slow pace. The moonlight above has helped me see just a bit ahead, and I can feel my mind wandering. I remember the last thing I said out loud to a living, breathing person. How dare you? I am not standing for this bullshit anymore, do you hear me? I hope you fucking joke. I remember the hot bile in my throat and my shaking fists as I spat venom in their face, their eyes wide and full of fear and rage. I remember my fist connecting with their jaw over and over before I finally... What the fuck? I had to stop. There's something in the road. The clearing is narrowing. These huge trees permeate every aspect of my windscreen and tower over me. They're old and some are gnarled, the bark is blackened and small insects crawl over them. I think I see birds perched on a pair of branches just above me. But I can't recall ever seeing birds with necks that long or eyes that white. The moon's light is beginning to wane, and the further I traverse, the harder it is to make things out. But it didn't stop me seeing the thing some 20 feet ahead of me. Hunched over as if vomiting, shoulders rotating and shuddering as the hind legs reared up. My hand instinctively goes for the little dial that turns on my headlights, and I stop myself and remember the sign. Do not turn on the headlights. Fuck. I take a look back and try to figure out if I can reverse on the trail, do a 3-point turn and go back. But by now, it's obvious that the embankment on either side is high and the trees are too close to allow for space. Fuck. Nothing else for it, I tell myself. I push down on the pedal and move forward slowly, revving the engine in hopes that this deer-like creature gets the hint and scarpers. But it doesn't. I see its hind legs rise off the ground and twist towards me, a single bulbous eye fixing on me. I honk the horn on instinct, and this thing immediately drops down to all fours and runs off for the woods. I've been driving again now for a few minutes. The road is getting darker, but I'm doing as instructed and letting my mind wander. Every kick, shove, punch, and barbed jab brings me a new wave of renewed anger and disgust. That filthy pig thinking they could ever make this right. That it was just a one-off, promising never again. Pathetic. I could still feel my fists clenched gleefully, smashing into their face over and over, the crunching of their nose and the tears in their eyes as they begged and pleaded for mercy. Mercy should never be given to scum like that. A smile curls around my lips as I feel my thighs sear with hot pain, my neck tightening, and my entire frame reliving the muscle memory of fights long past. The road was beginning to dip, and I could sense a bend was coming up. Not something I expected. It was only when I take a look in my rearview mirror on instinct that I could see it. Bloodshot eyes, black fur eclipsing all its features save for the tusks protruding from its top lips, viscous black liquid dripping off of them. This thing was matching my smile, and I watched its fucking pupils dilate as if it were getting ready to pounce. I floor it without thinking, and... fuck. I made the most critical mistake. Headlights on. It was just for a moment, just to get me away safely from this thing and see where the fuck I was going. But it showed me what was lurking on the sides of the trees, clinging to the branches, crawling at the depths of my peripheral vision. I saw flesh move in ways it shouldn't, human bodies devoid of features save for long, dark streaks of red. I saw too much. I saw something I didn't wish to see. Their body, broken and battered beyond repair, laying in the road, mangled as if they'd been run over by... They looked up at me for just a moment. No. Headlights off. I checked the locks were on the door and just burst into tears. Shameful, angry tears. My knuckles hurt more than ever and razors line my throat as I hold back a scream. I remember grabbing my things and leaving. They were choking on the floor and begging me to stay. I remember the fear in their words as they struggled to move broken fingers and speak between mouthfuls of blood and broken teeth. I remember the sheer hatred I felt for them when I took one last look at them and had all the power in the world, telling them the one thing I knew would haunt them forever. I will go to the one place you cannot follow. You will never have me. I heard them stumble to get up as I went for the door. A slip, a grunt, a bump, a crack, and a slump to the floor. But I did not look back. Not once. I don't like to think of what happened to them. Not out of fear for the repercussions, but for fear of returning to my old self that sympathized with them, that coddled to them, that depended on them. Something moved in the trees by my window. It was gangly, small, and flung itself from the base of the trees with arms too wide for its frame, like a comic book character enshrouded in darkness. The birds overhead are still on that same branch. They've grown in number now, and their necks are twisting as they look down at me. I know they're eyeing me up now, the drool from their beaks coating my windscreen and hissing as it makes contact. Maybe I deserve to be here. Maybe this is my punishment for letting my temper get the better of me and inflicting pain on someone I was supposed to love. That age-old adage of "they deserved it" seems hollow in my throat even now when I dictate this. Words crumbling to dust as they pass my teeth and echo when succeeding my lips, hanging in the stale air of my car as a mocking reminder of my pure weakness. Oh, I'll show them weakness. I wipe my tears away and look ahead to the now barely lit road. It continues to descend and I see no signs of it leveling out. But I put down my foot and I accelerate, regardless. Headlights on. The quicker I go, the more begins to reach out from the sides of the car. Sometimes, I think I recognize him in that fleeting moment. An old friend I once said something cruel to in jest. A university roommate whose food I surreptitiously ate when they had little to no money. An ex I cheated on. My lover. All of them momentarily highlighted by nothing more than natural lighting and waning instincts, their faces contorted into hideous expressions of rage, malnourished bodies reaching out with frail limbs as they try to get a hold of my car. I almost don't see them in the road. I slam on my brakes and stare at them, their towering figure all the more imposing in the isolation of this road. Not a single scrap of skin left on their body. Only pure, red flesh. Their face full of bruises. A black eye and tears of blood running down their face as what remains of their jaw intonates the same words. Never again. They take long, powerful steps towards the hood of my car. Never again alone. They place two broken, mangled hands on the sides of the hood and leap forward, their broken face frozen between despair and rage as they rear back their head and careen their skull into the windscreen over and over as their pain shrieks get louder, the glass threatening to shatter as it distorts under the pressure. Everything floods back, and in that moment, I am once again my old self and full of an incalculable fear. But it is only when they speak aloud that full sentence do I snap out of it.
Never again will you be alone.
Headlights off. I will never be that person again. I accelerate fast, brake hard, and watch as they go flying, their body greeting the pavement with a vile crunch as they twist and snap, coming to a stop some 15 feet ahead of me, twitching. I feel my knuckles burn as they grip the steering wheel, and I resist the urge to get out and finish the job with my bare hands. Broken promises from a broken person, I spit. You will never be anything more than this. I push hard on the accelerator as my car thunders over them, offering no resistance as they slip under the tires and two short, sickening bumps follow as I continue on. It didn't take long for that bravado to slip, however. 10 minutes down the road, I slow to a crawl and roll down the window to vomit between sobs. The air is thick with iron, and I can hear a croaking emanating from the embankment opposite my window. It fills my head with nauseating thoughts, and my eyes start to glaze over. But the jerking sensation of my engine stalling is enough to pull me back inside. The road is leveling out now. The moon overhead casting a powerful yellow glow over the pathway. Not dissimilar to that of a supermoon, maybe even bigger. I could see the jagged cracks on its surface, thick blots, and was the moon always so split? I feel like it's pulsating when I stare at it, or is it simply getting closer? That is not the moon. There's a small black dot in the center of it, following me as I start down the road, a low drone growing in volume as I pick up speed down this stretch of road, desperate for an exit. How can this go on for so long? Surely there's an end in sight. I feel my thoughts start to spill out and dissipate before I can fully comprehend them, like my mind is a sponge being squeezed of all moisture. When I look up at the orb, I see thick red veins around the sides, splitting it. It is an eye. It's their eye. Never letting me out of their sight for a moment, as was always the way. That drone, their incessant call to action, a threat of what would occur if I didn't respond to them in a timely fashion. Think what you will of me, but I did what I had to do, and I am not sorry for it. They can follow me to the ends of the earth, but I will not apologize for taking a stand. When you love someone, you are supposed to protect them, to make them a part of your own heart and entrust yours in kind. It is safety, trust, vulnerability, and so much more. It is never meant to be a microcosm of fear, subjugation, and pain. I know what the road is doing, what it is showing me. My sins, my failures, my fears. They all go back to them, as they always have done. That last night, they had followed me incessantly from room to room, not allowing me a moment's respite, and like a shadow they clung to me, seeping into my skin and making it burn from the inside out. I could not breathe from the suffocation, both metaphorically and inevitably, literally, when I would request some space. I don't know what triggered me to finally stand up for myself. Perhaps it was the way they'd been acting in our quarantine, staring at me like a predator sizing up a meal. Maybe it was the constant humming over me while I slept, as if grappling with their own instincts to kill. But either way, I felt their thin fingers wrap around my neck and their barbed words as they spat expletive after expletive.
You pathetic pig. Nobody will ever want you the way I do. You belong to me, and I will do with you as I see fit. You're less than the roadkill birds feed on.
They'd grin and watch as the life faded from my eyes, just enough that they could let go and know I was on the verge of passing out. I heaved as they let me go, still clawing at my throat in a desperate attempt to rid their presence of me and my soft sobs filling the room. They didn't like that. Not one bit.
Oh my god, I don't fucking care! Can you shut up?
A powerful kick met my stomach as I lay prone on the ground, their hands over their heads and genuine anger on their face, as if I'd just spat on them.
You don't ever think about the consequences of your actions, do you? Did you ever consider that you wouldn't be here? We wouldn't be here if you didn't just fuck up all the time!
I remember they kneeled down and their bright blue eyes shimmered as they gently cupped my face and flashed that smile that immediately put me under their spell. But I may as well have been face to face with a crocodile.
You know I could kill you and nobody would fucking care about a freak like you, right? Nobody will ever love you. Never again. You will always be alone.
My right hand connected with their jaw, and the force was strong enough to dislocate it in one fell swoop. They collapsed back and looked at me in bewilderment, their eyes full of fear, and if anyone walked in on us at that moment, you'd think I was their lifelong tormentor. They had no understanding of why they deserved to be punished, why they deserved pain and torment. They truly believed in their hearts that they were above such things, that the laws did not apply to them, that I was their property to be beaten as they saw fit, and that if anyone dared put a finger on them, it was the crime among crimes. And that made me angrier. I can see the thing above growing red, the road is becoming dim, and I can sense that wide-eyed beast is gaining on the car, but I will not relent. I will not stop. With every successive strike, I felt them wither under my weight. They kept bleating out that same pathetic line.
Never again. We'll always be alone.
When they stumbled and fell, I was sure they were close to death from sound alone. Yet I refused to go back and help. I wanted them to know the true loneliness in those final moments, callous as that may be to some. I must sound like such a horrible person to you, in spite of everything I endured. But my hands are shaking as I grip the steering wheel. The road has darkened, and as I go slower, I can feel this thing gaining on me, determined to do God knows what once it catches up to me. The road is beginning to climb now. In the dim light left, I can see a steep curve going up. I'll need to push the accelerator and... oh, There are pits across the road. Numerous potholes that could easily stall the car if I'm not careful. I cannot do it in the darkness. Perhaps Myopic Road is not unlike the journey of self-discovery in Sturgeon. We start our maddening descent, we face our troubles at the middling road, and we continue our road to healing and betterment with the uphill struggle. Or maybe I'm simply terrified beyond belief and wishing to make sense of a place that is devoid of almost none. I can't go back now. The police will have discovered the body, and no matter what defense I offer, I will simply be trading one prison for another. No, the road. This road. It's all I have left now. I think I'll put on some music for the last leg of my journey. The red eye above is pulsating, but I think it's not dissimilar to my lover. If you fight against it and show defiance, it will hold no sway over you, even if fear grips every fiber of my being. Perhaps I won't find anything and simply go until my car runs out of gas, letting the beasts of this wood take me. Maybe I'll get to the other side and be a free person for the first time in my adult life. Maybe the shape some ways up the road, towering over the trees with long antlers jutting out of its skull, will be helpful and not a hindrance. Either way, I must drive. Whatever happens, happens. If you take anything from this, put yourself before anyone else. Do not let their anger and fear become a catalyst for pain and suffering. You will always have the power to take agency back and break free. Hopefully in a less violent way than I did. The Myopic Road will be waiting for you when you wish to make your own journey. Perhaps I will be too. Headlights on. Some context. My name is Fisher. I am a 32-year-old widower with a young son, Jake. As the title suggests, we've been having issues. Like any parent, I thought Jake's muteness would go away with enough time, love, and patience. But it's safe to say he's still struggling to come to terms with losing his mom. And I can't say I blame him for that. Melody died in a head-on collision. Drunk driver ran a red light and swerved into oncoming traffic. I remember running up to the accident as it was 2 blocks down, and I'd been taking Jake for a walk to the park. The warped steel, the drunk driver getting out and stumbling around, wailing like a baby at his broken arm. The way her body was twisted and broken as it stuck out of the windshield and across the hood of the car. A stain of red. Dead on impact. I have never seen any human being in such a broken form. Why the fuck did the sole instance have to be my love and the mother of my child? Worse still, Jake saw. Only for a moment, but he saw enough. Losing your mother is a traumatizing thing in itself. Seeing her body like that is another matter entirely. I think the shock of seeing her in that car wreck simply scared him into an unbreakable silence. He cried a little before that, but nothing after that day. He was 3 then. Now he's approaching 6. It was soul-destroying having your life partner suddenly gone so early into your marriage. It threatened to break me down to my rawest components, but having a bright, beautiful boy who was dependent on me was the main reason and the main motivator to get me up every day. I'm proud to say that I was able to get through each day with his silent smiles, not relying on any vices or virtues to assist me. I played with him, indulged in his hobbies, taught him sign language, and my love for him grew with every passing day. It didn't matter what the other parents mumbled to each other or how the kids started to stare. He was perfect the way he was. And I knew when he looked at me, he felt safety. That was the most important thing of all. When it came time for him to start kindergarten, I was torn. I knew it would come eventually, of course, but the lack of things to do outside of work and the feeling of helplessness with him being attended to were impossible to ignore. My concerns were impacted when the kindergarten was found to be lacking in their ability to care for him. Call it laziness, negligence, or ignorance, but it was clear Jake wouldn't get the right support there with his needs. So, I made the difficult choice to homeschool him. I'd been a teacher before I transitioned over to freelance artistry, and I had enough money saved for a while until we could get a tutor in. So this was a logical but scary step. So when I was preparing for the first day of homeschool with his packed lunch, little suspenders, and an eager smile on his face, I felt pride. I kissed him on the forehead and held up my hand, pinky, index finger, and thumb extended, moving the hand back and forth. "I love you," I signed. He smiled, hugged me, and did it back. He was a clever kid. It was a productive first session, but after lunch he got tired and we were practicing signs for my parents. I wasn't thinking, and after signing with my palm open, thumb on head for Dad, I moved the palm down and put my thumb on my chin, signing for Mom. His face displayed a myriad of emotions before he looked around eagerly and tried to locate her, eyes falling back on me and holding up his index finger while waving it from side to side. "Where?" he signed. I felt my heart begin to break. He still didn't understand. With my lips trembling, I put my palm facing inwards to my forehead and covered my face, then bringing it down until the tips of each finger grabbed onto my chin. "Sleeping," I signed back. He seemed to understand and went back to drawing until dinner time. I spent that first night crying in bed, thinking of what Melody would say right now, wondering if I was doing a good job or not. Normal parenting or widower thoughts, right? In my dream, I saw Melody looking down at me from the balcony of our home while I played with Jake. She didn't say anything, just floated in place with a persistent smile as she held up something in her hand and threw it at me. "For Jake," she signed. "It'll help, I promise." I didn't even get a chance to ask her what she meant before the dream faded and I woke up laying on my bedroom floor, laundry all around me and a single piece of clothing in my still clasped hand. A sock. Melody's sock. That was the day Circulation was introduced to our home. I began crafting him over the weekend, turning him into a bright mixture of amber, red, and green for the traffic lights, his bolo tie a beautiful shade of teal, big blue eyes with a golden monocle affixed over the left, the bolo tie on his chest connecting with a buttoned shirt, a pink mouth with a felt tongue that could be moved alongside the mouth itself. He was a little strange, but his appearance felt right. I honestly thought I'd fallen into a trance at one point, kind of like autopilot when creating something. And before I knew it, he was ready. I decided a good way to introduce Sir Q would be to leave him in Jake's room after nap time and then come in to see how he was doing after an hour. Sure enough, I brought Jake some lunch and saw him sat, smiling with Sir Q on his right hand. I knelt down and smiled, holding up my hands and rubbing my thumb and finger together while mouthing the words, "What are you doing, buddy?" He grinned and held out both hands, one of which was holding a sock puppet. He linked both index fingers together in a hug and simply said, "Friend." It was a real victory for me. The next few days, our lessons would go smoother. Jake recognized the smell of his mother and it helped him feel safe, while Sir Q acted as a best friend and confidant to him. I endeavored to include him in lessons and let Jake have him as much as he wanted, which in turn made Jake focus all the more. We ate dinner together in our usual manner, seating Sir Q at the seat next to Jake so he could enjoy his air pasta, occasionally sneaking some of Jake's to his delight. It was nice to see him come out of his shell, more honestly. But, of course, you've seen the title of my issue, so I'll get into it. As I put him to bed, I signed again to say I love you and waited for it back. Instead, Jake lifted Sir Q up from beside him in the bed until he was face to face with me, flapping the mouth as a raspy voice escaped. I love you too. I felt a whirlwind of emotions: joy, confusion, unease, and fear. Joy because I heard my son talk for the first time. Confusion as to why he used the sock puppet. Unease at the deadpan stare he gave me from the bed, and fear because it sounded off somehow. I tried to hide it, smiling and telling him I was proud of him before shutting the door and going to my study to work. Sturgeon has always been a town full of oddities. Perhaps this was simply a good influence on him. Who knows? But I didn't want to complain about a good thing. A few days pass and Jake doesn't use Sir Q to speak again, at least not while I'm around him. He plays more often in his room when not at kindergarten and seems content in his own imagination, silently conversing with Sir Q and his other toys arranged in a circle over his playmate. But on one occasion when passing his room during nap time, I caught wind of something that made my knees threaten to buckle underneath me. That same raspy voice calling to Jake. I don't know why I didn't immediately move, but I felt compelled in that moment to listen.
Knock once if you miss your mommy. Knock twice if you want to go see her. Knock 3 times if you want to come in, Dad.
Jesus Christ. I opened the door and put on the biggest smile I could, pretending I hadn't heard it. Jake's face is blank as I ask him in a joking voice why he's not sleepy. Jake points to his eye and then to Sir Q. Watching, he says. I scooped him up and put him to bed, saying I wanted to take Sir Q for a walk if he didn't mind. He nodded and put the tips of his fingers to his chin, pushing away. He signed, "Thank you," and honestly, that scared me more. I brought Sir Q to my room and left him underneath a pile of laundry I was due to put in the dryer, thinking he'd be safe there until the next day when I could figure out a bit more about him. I remember putting my head down on the pillow and looking at a photo of Melody, myself, and Jake all crammed in for a happy family picture. Her red hair tucked behind her ears, piercing blue eyes, and a loving smile forever etched into my brain. How on earth could the universe take her before me? I was barely holding it together and I could barely understand my son, let alone this puppet obsession. "Melody, I hope I'm doing right by you, honey," I whispered, already falling asleep with exhaustion. As I dreamed, I realized I was in a dark place. The cold air was whipping around me and threatening to split my skin open. The sounds of machinery rushed past me, but I couldn't tell you if they were planes or something else. Then the thunderous sound of the crash came out of nowhere, like the sound of a cannon firing from a tank. It shattered my teeth and knocked me off my feet, the subsequent screams getting me back up and rushing in an aimless direction. I saw the wreckage in the distance, the flames licking at the twitching body of my wife, her flesh nothing more than red paste with bones jutting out. Her head snapped and turned the other way, not facing me. "Mel? Baby?" I called, hoping this would just end. Her face snapped to mine, fixed in the most god-awful scream I have ever seen, a death rattle that would never end. Her voice rang out, but the jaw flapped up and down on the last threads of flesh, holding it together like a fucking puppet. "Stairs! Stairs! Stairs!" she shrieked, a horrible laugh penetrating my ears and smashing against the eardrum until I snapped awake in a cold sweat, hands shaking. I don't know what time I woke up, but it was the dead of night, and with my eyes not fully adjusted, the encompassing darkness almost felt threatening to me. I'd lived in this house for 9 years and never once felt like I was in danger, but something spurned me into waking up and scanning the room. Maybe I'd heard an intruder. As my eyes cast around the bedroom, I noticed the laundry had fallen off the chair. I'd obviously piled it too high. Damn it. Well, now I was up. I may as well use the restroom and check in on Jake. I will never fully understand what roused me from sleep, but I am beyond grateful it did. As I passed Jake's room, I heard a faint wheezing sound that immediately sent me into a panic. I thought perhaps he was choking on something or was having a coughing fit. As I opened the door, for the second and a half before the light came on, I swear to God I saw something black and shimmering looming over Jake's bed, fixated on his throat. But as soon as the light came on, he coughed a few times and rubbed his eyes, looking at me. I pointed to him and closed my index finger on my thumb, forming the small circle. "Are you okay?" I signed. He looked confused, eyes moving to the corner of his room before moving his open palm slightly from the left to the right and then closing it firmly, moving it forward. "Yes," he signed back. I followed his apprehensive gaze to the corner of his bedroom where a beanbag sat. Propped up in the corner by the closet was SirGorke, staring at him. I took him out of Jake's room and downstairs to our laundry room. It was late. I knew I could throw him out sometime tomorrow, but it didn't satiate the anger I had in that moment. Despite knowing that this puppet could in no way harm my son, I felt such protective rage towards him and sensed the felt coming apart slightly as I pulled at the seams in frustration. "This isn't going to do anyone any good," I mumbled, putting him down with a pile of dirty laundry and turning off the lights, heading back upstairs. I let Jake sleep in my bed that night, giving him Melody's sweater so we'd have a proxy item to comfort. Little guy fell asleep inside of 5 minutes while I lay awake, staring at the ceiling. When I did sleep, I felt eyes constantly on me, as if something was looming over me every time I shut my goddamn eyes. It was inescapable, a primal feeling of being at the mercy of something unseen and malicious. It set my teeth on edge, and I woke to the alarm with a horrible headache. I turned over to ask Jake what he wanted for breakfast, maybe some pancakes with ice cream to cheer him up, but he was nowhere to be seen. Panic shot through me, and I sprung out of bed, calling out his name and rushing to his bedroom, the bathroom, and the top of the stairs. Nothing. Then I heard a sound that both terrified and infuriated me. That same raspy giggling coming from the laundry room. SirGorke. The dryer was being turned on. "Oh fuck! Jake!" I screamed, rushing down to the laundry room in time to see him sitting in the dryer with the door shut and the light blinking, a blank expression on his face as he signed something with the little space he had to maneuver that disturbed me beyond words. Mom. Home. And then the noises started. He gasped and began scratching at the door, begging to be let out, the air escaping the chamber and it beginning to slowly turn, his little body struggling to stay still. I panicked, watching it gain traction as he struggled to smack against the door. I pushed the stop button, but nothing happened. I practically broke it in my hysteria, but the dryer continued to move. Instinctively, I pulled the cord and the machine came to a screeching halt. All in all, he was in there for less than 30 seconds, but he was traumatized. I hoisted him out and held him in my arms, sobbing and making sure he wasn't hurt. He buried his head in my chest and hugged me. It would have been a beautiful and relieving moment if not for SirGorke attached to his hand and steadily rising up to my face and speaking. But not in a raspy tone. Instead, in a voice I knew all too well. Distorted, broken, and losing its shape but still familiar to my ear. Melody.
"I wanted to see him. Just once,"
it said, the tongue flapping and hanging lazily out of the mouth, cocking its head to the side.
"Why won't you let me see our son?"
I felt the world around me freeze. There could have been a bomb dropping outside and I'd have been none the wiser. I just stared, mouth agape.
"You boarded up the spare room, made sure it stayed hidden from prying eyes and broken hearts. You left almost every scrap of memory involving me there. The things you couldn't face locked up. But you need to face them. Face reality. For Jake.
I kissed our son's head, and after checking he was unhurt, I set him down in his bed and took Sir Q with me to the spare room. I didn't want to do this. I didn't want to be here. I still don't. I unlocked the door and walked in, the musty smell hitting me immediately as the light from the hallway cast a looming shadow over the memories of what once was. Our photos strewn up on the walls of hikes and parties and birthdays that should stay in the past where they belong. And there, among the sea of things that should stay buried, was Melody. Of course she was. There was nowhere else she could be after the accident. The only way I could cope was to bring part of her home. The red hair, the piercing eyes stitched on, the smile in a fixed and warm state. It made my heart skip a beat just seeing her again, even if it wasn't truly her, but a pale imitation. A sock puppet. "Hi, Mel," I stuttered, my hand clenching Sir Q tightly in my fist until the knuckles were going white. I hated this. I guess this was inevitable, huh? I walked towards her and picked her up gently in my hands. Even the feel of her felt body in my hands just brought back memories of that awful crash. She turned her head to me and spoke, the voice still messed up but close enough to pick up her intonations.
"Fisher, sweetie, you are at a crossroads and I'm so worried you will take the wrong turn. If you don't take a step back from the edge now, I fear you never will."
She looked at Sir Q in my hand and cast her gaze behind me for a moment before turning back to me, sadness weighing her words down.
"You know none of this is healthy, don't you? The whole song and dance of keeping me here, tying yourself to the grief, talking to a sock puppet. Imagine what the real me would say if she could see you."
My face felt hot and my lip trembled as I couldn't stop the tears from flowing. She was right.
"But it's just a harmless way to keep your memory around. It's not hurting anyone. I'm fine, honest,"
I protested, feeling ashamed of talking to a sock puppet but somehow feeling connected to her. She just shook her head.
"You never go out. The neighbors are concerned as you've lost touch with almost all of the family. They've tried to help you, but you just keep pushing them away. You spend your days in a haze, and if you don't do something now..."
She lowered her head, and I heard tears in her voice.
"Fisher, you deserve to move on and start over. You can't keep living with ghosts. You need to talk to real people and heal."
I scoffed through tears, my own psyche rebelling against me, and yet it still couldn't get the facts right.
"Everything I do for Jake. That's how it's been since you were gone," I croaked, stroking her face. "But I wouldn't give to see you one last time. But if this is all I have, I don't see an issue so long as Jake is cared for."
Then, she said something that eroded the last wall of resilience I had.
"Why do you think Jake doesn't talk, Fisher?" "Well, he was there when the accident happened. It was traumatizing for him and..." No. Why would you bring him to a car accident? You're not stupid. Think."
I turned to the hallway, Sir Q in one hand and Melody in the other as my tunnel vision fixated on Jake's room. I went straight in and was eager to show her that he was there, happily playing. But, of course, he wasn't. Not really. Sat in an old, worn-down playmat and amid broken toys was a sock puppet. Small suspenders affixed to a neat waistcoat, black hair swept to the side and bright green eyes peering back at me.
"He was in the car when she had the accident,"
I breathed, falling to my knees.
I saw them both against the metal and I
sank to my knees and sobbed, clutching both Melody and Jake's puppet facsimiles close to my chest.
"I understand. I have to let go, but you were my everything. I'd rather die than do that. I just want us to be a family again. I know, honey. I know.
Melody's voice barely audible over my sobbing and strained tones, but I swear for just a moment, I heard her as if she'd stepped into the room. Maybe it was psychosis. Maybe I really was losing it. But as my head was bowed and I sobbed, I swear someone walked into that room and talked to me. All I saw were 2 pairs of feet. A pair of small, dainty woman's feet and a pair of vibrant socks that I'd recognize anywhere. And a toddler's feet standing close by. I wanted to lift my head up, but the lump in my throat acted as an anchor tied to my heart and kept me from rising. I simply stayed there, head bowed, as she spoke.
One day, we'll be reunited. Until then, you need to find a new cause. The illusion's broken. When you get up, you will see this world for what it is. And you must find your place in it, Fisher.
I felt her press her soft lips against the top of my head. I know it's not real. I know it's not, but my God, if it didn't will it into existence.
I love you, honey. We both do. Now get up and live.
With that, silence. The hardest sobs I'd ever experienced erupted from me. The pain of having my wife so close and yet impossibly out of reach, coupled with the crippling agony of not even knowing what my boy would look like now if he'd survived. It was too much. I rocked back and forth on that floor for what felt like hours. And out of the misery and pain, a new voice spoke. Coarse, crass, and direct. It made my joints lock up and fear kick out grief and root me to the spot.
Do you really want to rejoin them? I can make that happen.
It was coming from circulation.
Come on, Fisher. You don't want your life to be this now, do ya? Surely you have something to give.
I turned and saw his puppet still laying on the floor where I'd left it, the mouth not moving nor the rest of its body. Yet it still spoke. I got up and moved closer, peering down at him.
All the lights in Sturgeon are gonna go out soon. Don't you want to find your way back to your family before that happens? 'Cause if you're still here after, oh, well, it won't be easy, let's put it that way. Your best bet is to do us a solid and earn your way back to them.
How? No, you're not real. Just like Melody and Jake. I made you. You're all in my head.
I tried to take back control, to wrestle back some semblance of normalcy before I lapsed again. Then I heard the closet door open behind me and something big stepped out of it.
Oh, every puppet has its master, Fisher.
That voice. It was sickly sweet, almost lilting and childlike, but every word carried with it an intent to harm. I was petrified as it took steps towards me.
I've been patient, helping you feed your madness until it grew to a boiling point. Now you've got your path home. It's time we lead you down it, after completing a little job.
I don't know what he did, but my hand grabbed Sir Q and put him on my free hand, operating him as if I were an expert. He began talking again, this time in the stranger's voice.
Good boy. We have a tournament to get to, you see? And the vessel is needed.
Who are you? What do you want with me?
I breathed, feeling my control slipping away.
I'm Mr. Stairs. I have a little outstanding grudge, and it's time to collect.
With that, Darkness took me and I spent an untold time stuck in between spaces. When I woke up again, I was in the bed. Stacks upon stacks of newspapers and other hoarded items littering the room and the house by extension. I don't know how I hadn't noticed it before, but the place was barely functioning. I suppose in my psychosis, I'd simply gone on autopilot. Which leads me to all of you, to why I'm really here. I know I have a problem. I know soon the voices will return and the reality I see will dissipate without help. I'm hoping to mitigate that as soon as possible. But there's two things I need your help with. Two things that categorically tell me what has happened was not in my head. That I do have something to fear and my time is almost up to do something about it. The first, an invitation delivered to the home. A special seal affixed to the back and addressed directly to me. A spot in this year's nightmare fighting tournament where my skills would be, quote, greatly appreciated by the commission. The second, I'm sure you figured it out by now. It's Sir Q, still attached to my left hand and talking to me. When I don't look, he starts making his way to my neck. When I finally slept, I was awoken to my throat being gripped, and I swear to God the eyes gleamed in the darkness. I don't know what to do. I don't think he's going to stop until he gets what he wants. In the last couple of days, he told me that as long as I helped make the stars go out in Sturgeon, I'd see my family again. That we would turn up there by next week and to be patient. What else can I do? I thought coming here would help, but I think I just wanted a record of me existing somewhere, knowing I existed. All Sir Q does now is sing in my ear, that raspy, horrible voice working its way into my brain and making me dance. I can't help but find my body moving to his command now. I'm scared, but not as much as the prospect of never seeing my family again. So I obey. It's kind of appropriate, you know, the song he's singing.
Down where the sorrows flow, there's a family rendezvous, where one day you might go, but for now you've got a job to do. There are no strings on me, but there are so many on you.
How I ended up in the godforsaken place isn't anywhere near as interesting as how I got out of it. But in short, I assaulted someone who deserved it. I tried unsuccessfully to take out his whole little group of friends with my bare fucking hands when I'd finally tracked them down. An anonymous tip had come in as to where I may find them, and I wasted no time getting the jump on them. Clearly, I'd gotten too eager and made too much noise as the cops were there and saw me throwing fists on top of their main man. The victim had high-ranking connections, and instead of going to a normal prison, I went to a supermax facility in Sturgeon due to the severity of the beating and the quote-unquote threat I posed to him and his business. In short, he had his hands deep in the pockets of many a powerful lawmaker who enjoyed what he did. Surprise, surprise. It took him a while to get me sentenced, and the other man I attacked went down for it. But the main guy I targeted, the one who abso-fucking-lutely deserved it? Nah. He bought his way out. What a fucking shocker. And thanks to him, instead of getting 18 months, I got 5 years. So, you can imagine how I felt when my dumb 30-year-old ass wound up in a prison full of some of the worst monsters you can ever imagine. Now, this prison was not dissimilar to a panopticon, A central tower rose out of solitary all the way up the circularly designed prison, and the main control center aligned with level 1 where Gen Pop resided. They had maybe 1/10 of the staff to the prison's inmate population, but if you have eyes on every inmate with a shock collar affixed for troublemaking, well, you're bound to behave. Oh yeah, we had fucking shock collars affixed to us upon entry. The governor of Sturgeon deemed us too dangerous to be allowed unrestrained freedoms, but wanted instead to focus on cognitive rehabilitation by giving us those freedoms and punishing us harshly for any perceived threatening behavior. Believe it or not, it stuck quite well. Make of that what you will. Sure, someone would test the mettle of the staff and the warden, make rude comments to start, and then escalate to trying to beat a guy to death. But the shocks would only intensify until the poor fucker was on the ground pissing his pants, or, in one horrible case, his eyes popping out of the skull as the smell of his melting flesh stank out the whole joint. Ugh, didn't eat a grilled cheese for a while after that one, let me tell you. No, I was assigned a bunkmate, as most inmates are. Paulie didn't say much. He was a scrawny guy who kept to himself and minded his business. Worked for me. I didn't want to make any friends while I was in here, and the kind of guys who were too friendly were not those I wanted to be close to. I ain't anyone's bitch. About 6 months in, I got a letter pushed through my cell door. It's the middle of the night and the Panopticon's lights are still beaming around, but you can never fucking tell if you're being watched or not, so it was largely just for show. Stumbling over, I grabbed the black envelope and opened it at my desk. I kept the light off so as not to disturb Paulie. After reading the contents, I'm glad I did. Inside, written on some dried up material that I assumed was parchment, was a sponsorship letter. It read as follows. Dear Mr. Alejandro, welcome to your new sponsorship program. We are the AF Trust, a charitable organization whose sole aim is to rehabilitate inmates, fund their good behavior, and help them function with the difficulties of prison and life beyond. We chose you due to your prior circumstances, a unique set of skills that we feel will be transmutable in the working world post-sentence, and due to the fact that you'd be receptive based off the help we offered. We differ from other organizations insofar that while they rely on wellness checks, meditation, and putting their faith in gods, we instead have a more holistic approach. We want you to give in to your primal desires. If you are interested, please see the affixed second note. By breaking the seal, you are entering into an agreement with the AF Trust and must see the contract through to the end. We can assure you that, if you should accept, your behavior will be noted and you will be recommended for early release by the parole board. We look forward to hearing from you. As our patron says, always follow the light, the lure in the darkness. I didn't know what it was, but this letter had me transfixed. It had a soft odor to it, like walnuts or almonds mixed with something I couldn't place. It put me in a malaise, and I instinctively reached for the second, smaller letter hidden in the seam of this parchment. A common practice when smuggling in sensitive info, though how they didn't find it when screening this letter is beyond me. Sure enough, it had a thick black wax seal stamped over it. The image of some kind of animal prominently displayed as I tore it in half and carried on reading. Excellent choice, Mr. Alejandro. The Panopticon cannot see you right now. It will not see you for approximately 9 more minutes, at which point they will conduct a random inspection of the cell. You will need to complete your first job for us within that time frame. Your cellmate, Paulie Torino, is a convicted sex offender. He isn't in for those charges this time, but you know how it is. The guards will ensure that few know about it so as to protect his life and status. They assumed nobody would find out, but we did. This isn't the reason you should kill Paulie, though. It's just an added incentive. No, the reason you should kill him is twofold. Number one, he was under the employ of the gentleman you accosted 6 months ago for your own personal reasons. He testified against you in exchange for immunity for what he did and the promise of a lighter sentence with more privileges. 2. He was given the same letter as you this morning. He's been waiting for this moment, and now it truly is kill or be killed. You will be compensated appropriately both in prison favors and financially for your troubles. Good luck. Follow the lure. For the first time in a long time, I felt fear run through me. Polly was a scrawny little shit, but any person is dangerous with enough motivation and being locked up in a small cell. I kept my eyes fixed on the letter as I strained my ears to hear for Polly. Sure enough, he had risen out of his bed and was tiptoeing towards me. He couldn't be more than 2 steps away. Did you do it? Were you there when he did what he did? I breathed. The footsteps stopped. I could hear his heart beating in his chest.
Yeah, I was. I'd do it again. She was one fine piece of ass.
Before he could finish, I turned around and with fist tightly clenched and mind focused, I hit him in the chest with everything I had. The air escaped his lungs and shot out around his body, sending him backwards into his bed and making the most god-awful wheezing sound imaginable. I just used a technique I'd avoided in using for so long, even the incident 6 months ago. But I could not forgive such an egregious act, or an assistance to what he did. I stood over him for 5 more minutes, watching him panic as his heart struggled to beat. The fear in his eyes as his breathing grew shallower and eventually dissipated, a slight froth in his mouth. At the 9-minute mark, just as the letter predicted, they called a random inspection. I was feigning sleep in my bunk bed when they came in and saw what had happened. They assumed he died in his sleep, and due to his past proclivities, there wasn't exactly much sympathy going around. The investigation was short, and since my technique is designed for stealth, they never brought any charges against me. So I was moved on. A couple weeks pass, and I'm still on my own in the cell. Another letter arriving in the dead of night, slipped under the door with no visible or audible person walking away after. It's strange, but whatever. Don't look a gift horse in the mouth, right? Opening it up, the contents this time were surprising to say the least. It was far more informal and to the point. Not that I minded. Mr. Alejandro, there were 3 more men involved in what happened that rainy night up on Myopic Road. 2 of them are housed here in the Panopticon. All of them will meet their end by your hand. Do this and you will find yourself suddenly free and with a job in mind. The first is now a lifer down at Gen Pop. He walks with a limp and was the one holding her down. Be wary. He is not what he seems. Seek him out at night. You will have a job opportunity that should allow you to get close. If you do this right, you will not be caught. Same as last time. Follow the lure. The following week, I'd been given a laundry job by the warden in light of good behavior. This involved going around to various inmates' cells late at night, getting their dirty clothes and taking them away. Standard stuff, really. But it gave me an opportunity to socialize and get close to the target. A guy known as Withers down in Gen Pop. Second night in, I passed through level 3, mid-security risks, when someone put an object in with their clothes, not even looking at me as they did so. I'm no fool. If someone offers you something that could get both of you caught, you carry on. Nobody snitches. I waited until I turned the corner into the laundry room when the Panopticon didn't follow us to see what it was. My heart skipping a beat when I unfurled the thick sweater to see. A fucking silver stake, an aerosol, and a lighter. This motherfucker was a Sturgeon. I told you before I was housed with monsters, and I wasn't kidding. This isn't your usual run-of-the-mill prison. The Tempestra is a facility housing all manner of beasts, both the human and nightmare variety. all of Sturgeon's outcasts in one place. Believe me if you want, or don't. But anyone with half a brain knows the government has a lot of secrets and a lot of facilities you do not go near. Sturgeon? The Tempestra? These are some of them. That fucker I beat up used those connections to send me into a literal snake pit, hoping they'd eat me alive before long and keep his dirty little secrets at bay. In any case, I took the items and strapped them to my body with a ripped up vest, then put on a sweater over it to disguise any awkward shapes, hoping that'd be enough. As I went near Withers' cell, I could hear the old fucker snoring away, his bunkmate nowhere to be seen but the door open. I could have announced myself or woken him up to put us on equal footing, but I am not here to play nice, and I didn't want to risk the shock collar going off. Stepping inside, I pulled the cell door closed and strained my eyes to see him. Turned over and facing the wall as his labored breathing grew louder. I pulled the stake free from underneath and walked closer, having to use the lighter just to see what I was doing. From the angle he was sleeping, I couldn't pierce his heart, so I had to think on my feet. "Hey, Withers, it's laundry day," I whispered, nudging him.
"I know why you're here, son. You got the letter, didn't you?"
He didn't turn, but I could hear his teeth clenching. I held my nerve. "I did. You want to make this easy on me?" He chuckled, pulling the blanket over his head, still turned away.
"Fuck off. I did what I did and I have no regrets. You couldn't stop us then and you can't stop me now. Panopticon sees all, but..."
Something stirred under the blankets, like he was shuddering.
"If you want to test me, then you best strike first, lad, because I'm getting hungry and I do not miss."
Left hand firmly clutching the stake, right hand reaching out for the blanket. I pulled it over my head and slammed down the stake as hard as I could, hitting nothing but the mattress. Something dripped onto my shoulder and a low growl filled the room. Slowly casting my eyes up, I came face to face with an ugly, emaciated creature. His skin pulled back, the nose turned up, and the eyes narrowed and yellow, with darkness where the whites of his eyes should be. His mouth was open, each tooth razor sharp and honed to kill, bright white with flecks of saliva and blood oozing down on them. At that moment, I felt like a piece of meat being fed to a lion, an all-encompassing kind of terror that forces your fight or flight to kick in. He lunged, and I barely had time to step aside, his face careening with the concrete. I knew that I'd just cost myself time, and if I was unsuccessful, they'd be on me in 60 seconds. Waiting for him to circle round and lunge again, I gripped the stake with both hands, and as he leapt forward, ducked down and allowed his body to sink onto mine, the stake plunging through his chest as a hiss left his mouth. Pushing him off, he lay on the ground, wheezing and chuckling.
"You stupid fuck. This ain't enough. I'll just recoup and come after you twice as strong. It'll be just like with your little bitch, but more lively."
He coughed and spluttered as he tried to cackle, but the bravado left him as he saw the lighter and aerosol can put out in front of me. "Well, you know what they all say with this. Revenge is a dish best served cold." I took a long look at this pathetic creature, knowing what he'd done and how ironic he was in the same position she was. And in that moment, I felt nothing. But who the fuck cares what the experts say, huh? I'll take piping hot revenge any day of the fucking week. I pushed down on the can and watched a ball of flame erupt from the lighter and make contact with Withers' flesh, searing him and everything around him. I turned on my heel and walked to the door, knowing the fire would cover any of my tracks. I was right. Withers was a known smoker, and it was determined he'd simply fallen asleep with a lit cigarette in his cell, starting the fire. didn't make a ton of sense to me, but I'm not going to question my good fortune. A month passes before the next note comes through. I'm almost too eager for this routine, for the chance to get my revenge and be free of this prison. Mr. Alejandro, 2 men remain, one of which is going to attempt to kill you in the showers tomorrow evening. You may have realized that each of these men has also received a letter, but this is our way of ensuring a fair fight and forging you through the fire. He will have an entourage with him, someone you will not need to kill. If you choose to, it will not be judged upon. In this place, it is your survival or theirs. The target is a drug lord. He has only been in here for a few months, and while his sentence is predicted to be 25 years, his connections with our mutual acquaintance shall get him exonerated in under 2. You will put a stop to that. It should be noted that he is the one who drugged her, Mr. Alejandro. What you do with that information is your choice. We do, however, have a request. Before ending his life, ask him this question. Why do we follow the lure? We feel this will help shed some light on who we are and our mission statement. Good luck. Follow the lure. At least this time I knew he'd come for me. Saved me a whole lot of trouble. I kept my mind sharp and my elbows sharper as the allotted time came up. As I stepped into the showers, I heard the shuffling of heavy-duty boots as the guards took a lap and left me isolated as 2 men rounded the corner to greet me. If they were shocked that I was expecting them, they didn't show it. The man on the left was a towering mass of muscle and force, likely a golem, vacant eyes and unwavering patience. The smaller man on the right had his black hair slicked back, tinted eyebrows perfectly trimmed to go with his bespoke beard as he grinned at me. This was my target, Don Marquez III.
So, this is the pretty boy who wanted to take me out, huh? You don't look like much, but looks can be deceiving. That's why I got my buddy Stax here. He's my problem solver. He clicked his fingers and Stax's face lit up. He walked towards me with arms outstretched and grabbed me by the shoulders before I knew it, his immense grip sending shock waves of pain through my body as Marquez walked around me still talking. You see, I don't have a lot of time to waste on a little bean sprout like you. I've got big plans here, and even bigger plans outside. Can't let uppity little shits like you forget their place now, can I? The closer he got, the more obvious it became. He wasn't a human either. The dead-eyed stare, the finely trimmed facial hair masking the masses of fur. I started laughing, my ribs crunching under the pressure. Man, I didn't think the rumors were true. But you are a fucking dog, man. Maybe I should have offered you a bone instead of a fight. His eyes flared and Stax gripped tighter, a rib breaking. I decided if I was going to do something, it had to be now. I pushed all my weight behind one kick to the kneecap of Stax, the sickening crunch telling me I hit my mark well, and he crashed to the ground in a heap, screaming. Marquez hunched over in the corner, his back arched and his posture growing wider and taller with every second. You wanna mock me because I'm small? Because I have protection in here? Oh, buddy boy, you really don't get it, do you? His voice grew discordant, animalistic and rabid. My own confidence began to wane as he grew to a height of nearly 7 feet, towering over me with a fearsome presence. He's here for your protection, not mine. He swiped at me, taking a chunk of my flesh with his claws as he seared my back. Pain riddled my body, but adrenaline is an amazing thing if you have enough of it in spades. I looked for an opening and threw an elbow at his jaw, knocking a tooth loose as he reeled from the damage.
Overconfidence gripped me as I went in for a finishing shot, the fear running through me palpable as his jaw opened and clamped down hard on my bicep, lifting me up with ease until my feet were dangling off the floor and blood poured down my arm and onto the ground. I punched, kicked, and writhed as hard as I could, but the shock hit me within moments and I began to hallucinate. The world growing fuzzy as he grinned through the bite, ducked his head down and swung upwards with all his might, tearing free flesh and muscle as I went careening into the shower wall. My already damaged body collided with bricks and hot water, head spinning as he honed in on me.
You should have left me alone, kid. I thought I recognized you, but it took me an up-close inspection to be sure. All this for a bitch? Really? Come on, man. What a fucking waste. Say hi to her for me, will ya?
He laughed and licked his lips, his nose covered in blood and viscera as he moved in for the kill. That last bit of mockery sent me into a rage that forewent the concern of my own well-being and knowledge that further exertion would have me bled to death. What was the point if I couldn't even avenge her here? He lunged in, and it was all I could do to move to the right and let him hit the wall, mounting his back and putting him in prime position for my elbows to rain down on his skull. I felt his body twitch after the first two and fall limp after the next three. I landed one more for good measure before crawling off and propping myself against the opposite wall, watching him as he became a broken, pathetic man again, barely moving as he struggled to stay conscious. I remembered the request of the letter and decided now was as good a time as any.
Hey, Don Shithead. I got a question for you. It's from my sponsor.
His eyes were dulled, but he could still understand me, and his head slowly rose to meet mine.
Why do we follow the law?
I asked, waiting for a response. His lip trembled and something flickered behind his eyes, but I couldn't say for sure if it was understanding, fear, or both. He took a moment and pointed a shaking finger at me before replying.
Because we know the struggle is pointless. Eventually, we'll all be devoured. Follow the lure.
I got up and surveyed him, the pathetic creature who helped commit that unspeakable act. I felt no pity for him as I raised my foot and slammed the boot full force into his skull, crushing it against the wall. His body felt limp, and he slumped to the ground next to a now inert Stax, masterless and without purpose. If they ruled this one an accident, I'd be amazed. I heard nothing on the subject for 4 more weeks, simply choosing to keep my head down and my mouth firmly shut. 2 weeks spent in the infirmary for damage and a further week on my own for my own safety before I could be let back into the Gen Pop. The staff tried to coax me into admitting Don Marquez iced me, but I didn't snitch, and there was inexplicably no proof despite my DNA undoubtedly all over him. Another thing to thank my sponsor for, I suppose. When I got back, there was one final letter awaiting me. My belongings bagged up alongside an official letter from the governor. Mr. Alejandro, it pleases us at AF Trust that you have been so passionate in your partnership with us. So much so that we are pleased to inform you that as of the end of the day, you will be processed and released. Someone will be waiting for you outside with your final assignment and future employment. Your funds have also been deposited into your account. Should you complete our job successfully, you will have a most comfortable life awaiting you. We look forward to working with you. Follow the lure. I couldn't believe my eyes. They'd done it. The letter from the governor granted me early release based on good behavior and testimonials that it was an unprecedented decision, but one made in good faith. There was his official title and the signature at the bottom to boot. I was processed and stepped out into the world once more, the wind around me whipping up something fierce, A storm raging overhead as it made its way further inland. So much for a sunny day reception, huh? Sure enough, someone was waiting for me by a large van, waiting to take me away. Their features obscured by a dark trench coat, Denton hat, and a bizarre mask. "Welcome back to the outside world, Mr. Alejandro. I trust your time inside wasn't terribly difficult?" The voice was kind, but sounded forced. It carried with it a deep sense of unease that seeped into my pores. "It could have been better. I assume you have the info on the main man?" I asked, throwing my things at them. They caught it without so much as flinching, putting it in the side door without breaking eye contact. "We do. It will be explained on the way, but we ask that you do this job for us in the process. It will not only bring you the revenge you seek for what happened to your partner, but..." A brief flash of that night, finding those sick fuckers accosting her in an alleyway, taking her to their little den, pumping her full of drugs to bring out her latent abilities and fund their sick little online groups. They tortured her until she gave in. And they did worse. I found them through an anonymous tip and beat their leader until he was unrecognizable. But it wouldn't bring her back. Nothing would. But what? All I care about is taking his head. I want that evil motherfucker's body to be broken in front of me. I spat, hands shaking as I walked closer. A strong green glow rippled from the van and stopped me in my tracks, paralyzing me as the figure walked in front of me and stared down, something smiling behind the mask. Whoever this was, I knew they could end me in an instant without so much as a flick of their wrist. There was power within them. "Well, Mr. Alejandro, you are in luck, because he will be participating in a unique fighting tournament known as the NFC. One that pits the strongest and most depraved warriors against one another. Our team is already in for this year, but we're in need of your skills to fill the spot. You join us, you get your revenge. If we win, you get a wish." He leaned in. A new kind of fright gripped me. One that told me to be very careful around this guy. "I wonder what you'll wish for." I swallowed, my throat dry and feeling like it was full of razor blades. My mind going straight to her, to my angel. I'd bring her back in a heartbeat. In a fucking heartbeat, I breathed. The figure nodded and leaned back, gesturing for me to get in the van. "Good. That's the kind of conviction you'll need for the NFC, Joseph. I'm sure Letty would be so proud of you. We'll bring her body back and lay it to rest. Don't you worry." That's right. Letty. Catherine Letty Alejandro. She disappeared after 2 years of heavy drinking following the loss of our daughter. Wound up in a bar she should have never gone to, and was given a fresh start thanks to the generosity of the bartender. I'm told he even has a wonderful dog to boot. Problem is, giving someone a fresh start means they're vulnerable too. While the bartender, Sully, got her a ride home to sleep off the effects. Well, he didn't check who was driving it. No good deed goes unpunished, and bad people are attracted to unique energies, and they sniffed her out within minutes. That man and his group were looking for fresh thrills, attracted to young, vulnerable women who displayed unique talents. They live-streamed their exploits on private dark web forums after they got shut down on Facebook by the moderating team. He really thought he was unstoppable, I'm sure. But he sealed his fate the moment he laid hands on my Letty. We sat in the back of the van for a while in silence as the driver made his way through Sturgeon's busy streets and into the entertainment district, past the Hotel Inertia, the Williams estate, and the spot where the spaces in between once sat. Before long, we were descending through the underground tunnel and into the pit,
The venue that would play host to the ensuing carnage that would determine how all of us lived or died. The last image I had of the outside world was seeing that final patch of sky engulfed by thick pillars of black clouds, threatening to blot out the very sun itself. As we pulled up, the masked figure spoke to me again. "Why do we follow the lure, Joseph?" I thought about my experience and what lay ahead of me. "Because it will lead us to our goal. It is the light that guides." He chuckled and shook his head, knocking twice on the van door and shuffling, running around the car as the other members got out and walked towards the locker room. No. It's because we are the unseen beast in the deep seas. We devour anything in our way. We are the apex predators. He got out, and images of the monster who butchered my lady's body flooded through my mind. How they drugged her, had their way with her, made an absolute mockery of her last moments. I thought it was sharks, I retorted. Trying to hold my nerve as a mixture of anger and excitement to kill flooded my veins. Fear still very much present behind it all, as I knew I was walking into the jaws of a beast. No, there's many things concealed in the depths, save for the soft light of a lure leading its victims close enough to strike. That is the anglerfish. A name I've heard many times. An elusive killer who targeted specific people for his or her own purposes. No different to Letty's killer, really. But it's the devil you know, ain't it? As we walked a little further in, various teams passed me by, as did staff. When we turned the corner, for the briefest of moments, I saw him. The monster who took my Letty. Mr. Payne, congregating with his group of freaks. I saw his hulking, vile frame as he laughed and took notes with them, devising strategies. But when those eyes locked onto me, fear enshrouded my body like a cloak of ice. I felt everything Letty felt in those last few hours. The way she'd suffered and pleaded for her life as he and his entourage amped up the pain and the suffering. It was almost enough to bring me to my knees and beg for my life. What the hell was this man? But no sooner did the masked figure put his hand on me and bring my attention back, did rage burn away every piece of fear. We are the beast nobody expects, Joseph. And soon, you will get to prove it to them. I felt something when I looked at him. Something odd. I had to satiate my curiosity and ask. You're the anglerfish killer, right? The one everyone in Sturgeon's been talking about. He cocked his head to the side and made an audible, huh, noise, as if surprised. I suppose that much is obvious, yes. This is my order. But that's not your only question, is it? I knew I had to get this out there, to ensure no lingering doubts or distrust remained if I was to do the job. What is your job title in Sturgeon? Because I think I know how I got out of that prison. How my sponsors' letters got through, and how nobody seemed to know I did those things. Or maybe they just didn't care. Governor. He clapped his hands slowly, laughing. Anything else you wish to know, you can ask before we start the opening ceremony. But I will say this. All of us in life need a lure, including you. Mine just so happens to be the most powerful authority in Sturgeon. I know this group has done wrong. I think every group here has. No saints without sinners. I don't want to know every sordid detail of their past because I don't care. I'm here to do a job. To get my vengeance. To see that fucking animal put down. I am Letty's anger manifested. And nobody is gonna stop me. Follow the lure.
Most heartfelt greetings and salutations, ladies and gentlethems. I eagerly welcome you to Sturgeon's most premier station, Dusklight Radio, hosted by yours truly, the effervescent, ethereal, and immersive Everett J. Blackwell. This fantastic tale of a seasonal ritual was penned by phenomenal author Gabby Rivera. You've already heard Gabby's story from last week regarding the detective story Hello Mother, and of course the famed Sugar Daddy story on No Sleep. More of Gabby's work can be found linked below, alongside a link to her subreddit. You'll hopefully see more of Gabby's work in 2026. This tale was performed, of course, by our resident janitor TJ Lee, all hail his janitorial wisdom, We Try Horror, A Different Gabby, Lady Euclid, and Vidith. Please give them all some love and check out their channels in the links below or using the collaboration function we utilize for YouTube. Now, normally I'd go into my usual Blackwell spiel here, however, we're at the end of the video. If you've stuck around long enough, this is a sample of what our usual introductions to Dusklight transmissions are like. A link to one of our normal lengthy transmission videos is below. However, for the next 30 days as of December 15th, you will not be getting those introductions unless it is a special Sturgeon video, such as the next chapter in our ongoing series coming out before the new year. You see, we want to test out the algorithm to see how well YouTube responds to a regular series of posts. So we decided between myself and the wonderful Vidith to do a 30 in 30 challenge. 30 days, 30 videos, no days off, except for Christmas, which will make up on the schedule. At the end of that time, we'll look at our metrics, see how well it's responded, if any new listeners have come to the station, and we can then make an informed decision about how we want to progress. I can tell you right now, however, that as of Season 6, in 2026 for Dusklight Radio, we will be going to 3 videos a week, an SCP video on Mondays, and normal, no sleep or creepypasta story on Wednesdays, and on Fridays we'll be doing something special. Every single month we'll be doing a compilation of our best stories from the month, and you'll also get a special feature-length Sturgeon or feature-length creepypasta story with immersive sound design, SFX, and voice acting. Very few things are going to be changing except the quality of our production. With that, I bring you to our outros, which are very important because this is the time where we thank all of our patrons for making this possible. If you want to sign up, it's as little as $1 a month and you get exclusive content, early access videos and stories, updates, and more. You can even suggest videos and stories for me to cover on the channel. But times are tough and we will always be grateful for your support no matter what form it comes in. Financial, spiritual, corporeal, maniacal, whatever you want. Either way, it really helps us out. And consider joining the Discord. We have a wonderful community at the listening station and we'd love to have you there. Dusklight gives thanks to, first, our Purple Crayon Eaters, Echo Kane, Gail Allstott, Alex, Mike, Candyman Gloving, Ashabel, Amara, Fi, Max, and Feeny Von Kama. Our janitors, Allie, Shane Lewis, Dux, Joy Flint Healy, Sabine Eclipse, Death 31, Scott, Heather Cayley, Adrian R., Amy, Arkham Cookie, and Alex Nunez. Our nightmare detectives, Deliria, Melanie Schaefer, and Fox Clifford. Our void walkers, Josh Woods and Professor Creepypasta. And of course, our Blackwell family. Great Uncle Ven Blackwell, who really seems to be hanging around the furnishings lately. I could swear that I've seen him trying to reanimate something from in the wallpaper. He keeps stroking it softly and saying, "Hush, little one, soon you can be free." Ethan Blackwell, the master of repo and infuriating the outer guards alongside his BFF, Jimmy. Jackal Blackwell, the scourge of gas station sushi outlets. Clue Blackwell, the twisting, shambling horror. Tabitha Blackwell, wearing a muscle tee with Kyo's face as a skull she smashed, declaring herself the Spine Queen. And, of course, Papa Kyo Blackwell, preparing his greatest weapon, the Spine Lord, and his many, many legions of bone fragments. We love and fear you, Papa, and we thank you humbly for your patronage and look to see you bright and early for Dusklight orientation. Purple crayons and existential dread will be provided. And one last time, listeners, close your eyes and breathe with me. Remember, no matter how bad things are, how cruel people can be, and how heavy your shoulders may feel with the weight of the world bearing down on them, Dusklight will always be here to lift the load and provide you with some respite. Drink some hot cocoa with chocolate sprinkles and fat marshmallows. Have some s'mores. Watch a video about liminal spaces, and sleep on the cool side of the pillow with the window open and the stars twinkling down on you. Start and end each day with kindness in your heart. You matter, you are loved, and every day is another chance. I'll see you again when the sun sets and dusk enters the station.